Respect its heritage. Bow to its majesty. Honor the legend. Uphold the discipline. Don't change the rules. Change the game.
And greetings. It is OC with you on the original OC channel. It is Tuesday. Is it Tuesday? Tuesday, July 2nd, 4th of July week here in the United States. Just coming off of the Canada Day celebration for those of you in Canada. Hope everyone in Canada had a great holiday weekend, a great long weekend. And for everybody in the United States, hope you're getting ready to celebrate an incredible Independence Day holiday. I don't know how choppy that video was, if the audio was okay or the video was okay or what, but I was playing that off of YouTube. So I'm not quite sure how it ended up. I'll go back and check it out. What's up, guys? Wow, already 10 people watching. Very cool. Guys, wow, and already 10 upvotes. All right, you guys know the drill. You guys know the drill. All right, well, look at this. First comment of the day, and it's from Rose. It was fine. Cool. We have Jay Gray's sweater from Canada in the chat. My accounts were frozen. What do you mean? What do you mean by that? Your accounts were frozen? Enlighten us. Hey, another Canadian, dear Artifact. Happy Independence Day to all the wonderful American watch collectors. I hope it's a great one for you all. Thank you very much, dear Artifact. And happy Canada Day. Hope you had a great long weekend. And welcome to Gatsby Evening OC. I was just watching Producer Michael. I'm assuming that's what PM means. Producer Michael at Jacob & Co. playing with a $5 million gem encrusted watch. Playing with $5 million gem encrusted watches. Do you think people actually buy those things? You know what? They wouldn't make them unless people bought them. And as much as watches like the Billionaire and those completely iced out APs and those gem encrusted Rolexes don't appeal to normal collectors like us, I don't think there's any shortage of billionaires out there and Arab sheiks and oil tycoons and whomever that take advantage of the opportunity to buy those things. For them, maybe it's just a rounding error, $500,000 for a watch here, $1 million for a watch there. So yeah, I have no doubt, like the Floyd Mayweathers of the world buy plenty of watches that are a completely different price range than the watches that we normal folk buy. Hey, Uzi's in the chat. Uzi, we love Canada. Thanks, Uzi. Uzi's making the rounds, jumping on a bunch of different live streams. He's trying to, I think he's exploring all the different live streams, figuring out like what's going on in this community. I've seen him all over the place. And for Uzi, by the way, blatant plug, this channel is a monetized channel. So for anybody watching that feels like they want to super chat to highlight their comment or to express an appreciation for the entertainment or lack thereof in this live stream, feel free to super chat. Super chats are enabled, and so are super thanks, by the way, if you're watching this non-live, if you're watching it after the fact. Super thanks are available. Rose says, happy Canada Day and pre-holiday weekend to our US crew. That's right. I'm going to stay home tomorrow. I'm staying home tomorrow. Although I've looked at the forecast and it looks like rain for like the next 5 days, but it's in the 80s and 90s. So I'm hoping that means that it's going to be hot during the day and maybe an occasional thunderstorm coming through. But we got hot dogs. We've got hot dog buns. I'm ready for grilling. I did a couple steaks this week. The first one came out a little bit medium well, maybe. The second one came out more medium rare. And listen, I'm not the best steak cook in the world, but the second one came out really, really good, actually. Hey, Carolyn Martin, the matriarch of the watch communities in the chat. She says, any stream that starts with Roger Federer is one I want to watch. Carolyn Martin, very close friend of Roger Federer. Oops, doxed. But she actually is. Hey, Logan Halls in the chat, representing Nashville, Tennessee. Hey, fellas and fellettes. We've got a 2% female audience, but they're the best female audience ever. Thank you, Logan Hall, for being here. Oh, Mathis, getting right into the topic. How can you take the game seriously if Marcelo exists? Explain that, pal. Marcelo is an enigma. No doubt about it. He has the meteorite Pepsi. He's got the white gold Smurf, the platinum Daytona, and the white gold Le Mans. I don't know how it's possible, but he did it. So there you go. Rose says, I feel like some Jacob & Co. pieces are showpieces to stay relevant, like having a boutique on Madison Avenue. Do they really make the rent? Yeah, definitely some of the Jacob & Co. pieces and pieces that all these jewelry maisons produce. There's an element of flexing, gem setting flexing that goes on. No doubt about it. But they make them, they price them at ridiculously high prices. Somehow they sell, right? I mean, they can't load something up with $1 million worth of diamonds and just have it sit there. They've got to move it. They've got to move the merch. By the way, the link is pinned and the pin is linked at the top of the chat. If anybody wants to join the panel, listen, the show's going to be really, really bad if it's just me talking. Although I do have some stories to tell about my recent AD visits, but I'd rather do it with people on the panel, spicy people on the panel. Matt says, I think Diego had a decent explanation. I want to thank the Colony people, all the Colony people, for doing a fantastic stream. This morning and this afternoon. Diego was on, Buckley was on, John D was on, Gorilla George was on, and there was a lot of people. A lot of people were talking about my collection. They were talking about what I should do, and they're like, well, should OC get an RM? Should OC get Patek Philippe? And a lot of great comments, by the way. I listened to the stream on the way home on the train, and I got to thank every single person who was on the panel and in the chat. Some people were, like Fella and everybody, like really, really quality comments. Even like trolling comments gave you pause and gave you something to think about. Some people were very pro Patek. Some people were very pro RM. Some people are very pro AP. Some people are pro the Journey. Some people were anti the Journey. Boston Collector, a very pro AD, pro Maison Journey guy. Other people like, screw that, just go gray, and that's what makes this community great, is just diversity of opinions. A lot of people have a lot of great opinions, and then it's up to you to figure out what you want to do. I feel like there's going to be a lot of grill flexing and grill shaming over the next 24 hours and lasting for the next few days. You betcha, Rose. There's definitely going to be some grill flexing. I've just got a regular Weber grill. When I was younger, I bought these grills that you get at like Home Depot, and then they rusted and they fell apart and they turned into like scrap metal after like 3 years of being faced with the elements. And then like 10 years ago, I broke down and spent like $6.99 or whatever for a Weber, and that thing was like a tank. beautiful grill, and it really does an amazing job. Gatsby says, and I'll do some flexing. I'll do although like grilling hot dogs isn't really a flex, but maybe I'll grab a couple of fillets and do the fillets on a live stream sometime over the next couple of days. Gatsby says I have a Jacob authorized dealer near my home. I can't see a lot of people dropping $50,000 on a Steel Epic X. They are certainly cool looking watches, but demanding Trinity prices for Jacob and Co? Question mark. Yeah. The guy started out on 47th Street designing jewelry like any of these other guys, but he did a phenomenal job building up his brand and with celebrity clientele. That's how you do it. Avi and Co just does it the same way, but just a lot classier. Avi and Co, by the way, is building a big new boutique. It's either on Madison Avenue or Fifth Avenue. I saw an Instagram post about it. He's moving up. He is moving up. Speaking of moving up, look at this. Dear Artifact, first super chat of the night. $7 Canadian. That's a really generous super chat. Looking forward to Watch Time New York. I hope to meet many of you great community members there. Absolutely. I will be there. I purchased my ticket for the Friday night VIP cocktail. It's a $200 ticket, which includes both Saturday and Sunday and the Friday night event. We are in the very early stages, the preliminary stages of planning something on Saturday night, a giant community dinner. I don't want to give too much about it because I don't want people to freak out about it. And it is a team effort. I'm definitely not leading it. I'm barely involved. A lot of people are going to be putting in a lot of hard work behind the scenes to make it happen. So shout out to the people who are doing that. You know who you are. But it's going to be epic. Hey, Carolyn Martin, super sticker. It's hands clapping. Thank you so much, Carolyn. $5 super sticker. Thank you so much. By the way, you can like the super chats. It's like Dear Artifacts super chat already has 3 likes. Let's get it to 10 likes. It deserves 10 likes, guys. In honor of our strong Canadian support. Jay Gray Sweater says, yeah, celebrity chef status. Yeah, Marcelo. Yeah, I cook in the Olympics. And I have a restaurant, and you have to be fun and foolish. Being fun and foolish was his recipe for got the Platinum Daytona and the Le Mans. Yes, you can never take that away from the guy. And I'll say this: anybody who knows 4 languages, I can't criticize. As much as as much as anybody maybe wants to make fun of Marcelo, when you know 4 languages, then come back and see me. Until then, maybe give the guy a little respect. Cloud Ken representing New York City in the chat. Hey OC, how do you see these diamond baguette and diamond bezel Daytonas doing? Trading above the retail price? I asked about this the other day. I asked about them yesterday. I said, have you seen any of these? They said, nope. They haven't seen a single one. I mean, those are off catalog pieces, so you have to be kind of submitted for one. Like you have to basically request, like the AD has to basically request one of those pieces from Rolex. Like, hey, we have a customer who we think will be good for this. We would like to request this piece. So I don't think the demand is very high for those. I'll be honest. They are hideous. They're freaking hideous. They don't even have diamond baguette dials. They have the regular brilliant cut with the awful looking, the awful housing. What do they call it? The setting, awful setting. Yuck. John D says grill flexing. That's right. We're going to be doing some grill flexing. I've got the Weber. I don't have a smoker. I don't have one of those green eggs. I just have a regular barbecue, guys. Logan Hall says, Rose, not sure if you're in the WhatsApp group. I just posted my New York strip pics. Okay, cool. On my Kamado Joe. Kamado Joe is a smoker. I think that's a smoker. It's like a weird shaped barbecue. Hey, we've got Andui in the chat. Howdy, y'all. Howdy, y'all. It is my custom to greet every single person who types a comment in the chat. Oh shit, I missed something. I missed Uzi. $5 super chat. Thank you very much, Uzi. That's very, very kind of you. Thank you for. I appreciate the show of support. We do our best to entertain the audience here. 30 people watching this nonsense. Wow. Already 17 upvotes. The best audience on the interwebs. And I really do mean it. Rose says the Friday ticket went up, right? I feel like it was 150-ish for watered down drinks the last few years. I think it was like 170 or 180, and then it went up to 200. Yeah. It's expensive. I mean, each day, typically you can get in for like $40 a day. So you're paying like $120 for the Friday thing, but it's the event. It's the place to be. You know, you can show up in Sean John, or you can show up in a tuxedo, and either way you'll fit right in. Marcelo is going to get the yellow lemon, and then everybody will bend the knee. It's impossible to get the yellow lemon. My 2 cents: if you splurge on the grill, splurge on the grill cover. Otherwise, it's like a great suit, but wearing penny loafers. I do have the grill cover. I have the I think it's like a $50 or $60 grill cover. Actually, it's the second one, and I need to get a new one because this one's falling apart. It's not really falling apart. It's just that the Velcro that's used to kind of hold it in place is kind of like degraded, so it doesn't really work. So I'll be getting a new grill cover. Maybe I'll do that this weekend, or maybe before. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. I got nothing to do tomorrow. Do it tomorrow. I'll get us a new cover, and I will unbox the new Weber grill cover. Yo, check this out. We've got yet another Canadian Gatsby on the hook for 10 Canadian dollars. That is the biggest super chat of the night. Forgot you were monetized. Enjoy your holiday weekend. Try to take a break from the streams. I hear too much YouTube immersion leads to mental health issues. Boy, don't I know it. That's right. I've experienced that firsthand. And I'm talking about myself. Yeah, monetized. By the way, we are going to be doing an unboxing live stream very soon. We're just trying to coordinate that big unboxing soon. Might do it here. We might do it on somebody else's channel. But if we do it on here, we'll definitely. We've already earmarked the New York City Food Bank as a designated charity. So we do this shit for fun, not because we need the money. But the super chats are appreciated. I'm in the hole like $700 from the last time. I'm not complaining. I'm just it's just a fact. Hey, I'll say it. The new super ugly gem Daytona. I hate them so much. I love them now. Beautifully atrocious. I think the bezels are off. They looked a little gaudy. Hey, we got Apes in the chat. What's up, Apes? Good to see you. We got Race Against Time. Race Against Time's in the chat. Upvote. That's a good message. Upvote. We already got over 20 upvotes. That's pretty cool. Kamado Joe and the Big Green Egg are ceramic Kamado style charcoal cookers. Oh, they're not smokers. Okay. Good for regular grilling. Fucking Logan Hall's always flexing his grilling skills. Good for regular grilling, but can also be used as smokers. The Kamado Joe. Cool. Hey, I'm Tom Austin is here. Hey, OC, I've been out of the loop. What did I miss? OC got his own stream now. You betcha. OC's out on his own. He's been kicked to the curb and forced to forced to stream on his own. Plus, I'm streaming on the Watch Colony channel. Mods, drop the link to the Watch Colony channel. Make sure you subscribe to that. Everybody, every single person here, I'm sure, is subscribed to the Watch Colony, but it's a race. Let's see who. I'm going to assume Logan Hall could do it. He's pretty fast. Logan Hall's going to drop the link to the Watch Colony channel, where we do the best live streams in the business. John D was in the chat. John D did an amazing job jumping on the panel today, and also phenomenal advice in the chat. I listened to everything that everybody said, and I really do appreciate it. Not only on the stream, on the panel, but also in the chat, and then also in the WhatsApp groups. Lots of great comments going on there. So thank you very, very much. Let's see, what else do we have here? Covercraft custom covers. Oh shit, that's the Patek of grill covers. Really, I have to get a Covercraft cover. Are they going to last a lifetime? Do they have like a 10-year warranty? They can withstand 30 degrees below Fahrenheit and hail. Kyle D says, super chat now to cover OC StreamYard fees. Actually, I don't pay any StreamYard fees. I'll be honest. I could lie and say that I did, but I don't. The StreamYard fees are covered by a very generous supporter. And I glommed onto his StreamYard account. Which is actually kind of cool because that means that anybody can jump on the panel and can produce, like, pull up comments, change camera angles, pull up stuff on my channel. So anybody who's authorized as a key holder on the Watch Colony also has full access on the original OC channel. There you go. Now you have an inside scoop secret. Red Guy. I don't know Red Guy, but welcome to the show. Red Guy Rebel. Is that Rebel or Rebel? Rebel. Streaming. OC. What does that mean? Oh, Rebel streaming. Rebel streaming. What does that mean? Rebel streaming? Not Rebel streaming. There's no such. This whole concept of Rebel streaming is for fucking simps. I gotta tell you, I'm so fucking sick of this. I stream whenever the fuck I want. I fire up a colony stream whenever the fuck I want. And if anybody has a problem with it, they don't have to watch. But listen, I've been on. I've been on the Mookie channel, on Mookie's platform. I think 2 times over the past week. I've been on Archie's show, Archie Luxury Channel, 2 times over the past week or so. I've fired up colony streams and I fired up my own streams. If anybody has a problem with how I volunteer my time, get fucked. You're not welcome to watch. But definitely don't accuse me of rebel streaming. I can do whatever the fuck I want, whenever I want. Speaking of someone who does whatever the fuck he wants, whenever he wants, hello, in the journey.
That's right.
In the journey. I won't reveal your true identity. People will just have to figure it out on their own. I'm Tom Austin, starting my own grill strem. I'm not sure if you've moved to a new residence yet, but do you have like a grill set up where you are? That's for you, panelists.
Yeah, I have a grill.
You have a grill.
Yeah.
How often do you grill?
I haven't grilled at all yet. I got a Weber.
Weber? You got a Weber? What do you got the premium cover? The premium cover?
Go down there and you get 25% off Weber. 4th of July spectacular.
You gotta get a Covercraft cover. They're the Patek covers. You guys saw the bezel in person at Watches and Wonders. It didn't look great to me. Also in live pics, I'm bearish on the gem sets. You know what? I don't have to worry about it because they're too friggin' expensive for me. I'm not gonna. No one in the right mind is gonna buy one of those gem set pieces. The only person I can think that would buy one is Rose. He's the only one who's demented enough to do that. Speaking of demented, hey Rose,
Stop knocking
Oh,
Covercraft. These
I
are
have
great
no idea
covers.
what the fuck. Where do I buy? Can I get that at Home Depot, or do I have to order that from like a special dealer?
No, man, that's custom from the internet. Custom to your grill. You can decide if you want the half cover, the 3/4, the full
Is that
cover, man.
Is that the same company that makes the WeatherTech floor mats for the car?
No, but it's the WeatherTech floor mat of grill covers.
There you go.
It probably is the
Uh,
same dude.
Same guy had the same, like a different idea. Like, hey, you know what?
Yeah.
We did it. We did this for cars. Let's do it for grill covers.
Yeah.
Jonah says, okay, why you Rebel stream and Arch? I'm not going to ban anybody because I don't like banning anybody, but that's just a ridiculous question. KB Lake says, do you guys grill Brussels sprouts? I have grilled Brussels sprouts before. I've also grilled asparagus. I've also grilled carrots. I've also grilled broccoli. And I do all kinds of vegetables on the grill. What I do is I get one of those aluminum foil kind of containers. I threw them in there, salt and pepper, olive oil, and I do it right on the barbecue. Sure. How about you guys?
Grilled corn is the only way I consume corn. Like grilled on the cob, wrapped in tinfoil, is the best.
And you don't have to check it. You just basically, it's a certain number of minutes, and boom, you're done.
Yeah, it's one of those things I would say cook the heck out of it, because if you get one side that's like a little charred and burned, that's the good side.
Oh, yeah, makes sense.
You know, can't go wrong.
Rose, I just see now the mentions in today's earlier Colony stream. Thank you, sir. Did you talk about Kyle D earlier?
Yeah, he did a show last night. I want to give props where props are due. We talked a little about skiing, and I know I like to brag, but this guy goes out and does double black on his first run of the day.
Double
And
black diamond, nice.
yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little intimidated.
He is Canadian.
Yeah.
He'd probably also beat the shit out of you in a hockey match.
Well, every Canadian can. I mean, that's not. Yeah.
Check it
Probably.
out. We got Maldives with a 5-pound super sticker. And that's a guy doing weights saying, keep it up. Thank you very much, Maldives. Really appreciate it. Very generous.
Hey, gentlemen. How are you?
What's up, Boston Collector?
The Boston Collector.
Oh, I'm tired. I'm running to the store for stuff for a cookout tomorrow. This just never ends.
Yeah. I had fun at AP today.
Oh yeah,
And
nice.
Boston Collector was the only
house or regular.
Boston was the only person who had my side when I revealed the plan, to the proposed plan, to my inner circle.
Plans
and
are good.
everybody else said don't do it, including some
No.
of the people on the panel.
So can I interject here?
Mm-hmm. Of course.
Nobody said don't do it until I started telling people to man up and be straightforward. As soon as you posted the pictures, everyone was like, it's wonderful, it's great, it looks great.
Mhm.
Yeah, wonderful, complimentary. And I was actually really disappointed that nobody would give you like the straight talk about, it's not about the watch, it's about how it fits into your collection. And then as soon as I started commenting, everybody pivoted and fell in
didn't
line.
pivot.
No, Boston
I
didn't.
didn't
Boston didn't. That's fair.
Never pump fake.
I like the
Rule
code,
number
all right?
1. Rule number 1, Rose.
Never pump
pump
fake.
fake.
I never pump
Yeah.
fake. Yeah.
No, you know what? I think my thought was more in line with what his current collection is and why it would be okay. You know, I think that in the right collection, it works. There's a spot for it.
Yeah. And
It's easier to find a spot for that than a lot of other watches that are, I think sometimes we give people too much of a pass to have like 10 Rolexes in their collection. You know,
Yeah.
not calling out any individual person because I have 10 Rolexes or something stupid like that. But like it's too much. Like we're too heavy Rolex. It's too easy to just buy a bunch of the same type of thing, and you kind of lose variety, and all your money is tied up in these. Let's be honest, like Rolex doesn't really get you very far monetarily if that's what you're trying to get. I mean, it's certainly good bang for your buck, you know, but
Mhm.
when you have 10 of them, it's not great bang for your buck. Let's be honest.
But
It's a
isn't the
lot it's a
difference?
lot of money that's stuck in watches you're not wearing.
But isn't the difference like you can do anything in a Rolex and you can't do anything in an AP?
Well, you can't do anything in the 8 Rolexes that are sitting in your box and you're wearing one of them on your wrist. That's my point. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like there comes a point where it's like, cool, you have 8 steel Rolexes and each one of them maybe is 10 to 25% of retail. That's great, but you've also tied up 100 grand and 90 grand of it is sitting in your watch box and you're wearing a 10 grand watch. So are you really enjoying that? Right? You kind of have to take a step back at some point and say, I really could use this money on other things that I'll enjoy and still keep 3 Rolexes out of the 10. I'm not saying like, you could be Rolex heavy in a collection, but it comes a point where it's like, even though each individual decision was a good value buy, are you really getting value out of your total money if you're sticking it all in, 10 different Rolexes at 10 grand a pop that all are in the same family? Let's say it's a little bit inbred collection at some point, right? And that's why most people kind of head towards trading 3 or 4 of them into one piece.
So I agree. So why didn't you bring this up when I rambled on and on and on and on about getting a steel OP?
Because
Well, I don't.
you don't shut the fuck up on Friday nights, so no one can talk to you.
Well, how many Rolexes do you have?
He's got a lot.
Too many.
Okay. How many steel Rolexes do you have?
Too many. Probably double digits. Too
Okay.
many.
How many St. Patrick's Day watches do you have?
Right. 2. I got the Hulk.
Yeah. There you go. Oh, you have the Hulk, and you
Yeah.
went for the green OP. That's way
Yeah.
too.
That's
way
too
too
much.
much.
Yeah.
Too much.
Nobody said it. Buckley didn't said it once.
I didn't even know that. I didn't even know you had a Hulk.
There were Saturday afternoon streams when I brought this up. I'm sure there were midday streams and times when I was in the chat. Nobody said anything.
Why do you even have steel Rolex?
I'm stupid.
Green's my favorite color, so that's why I got the Hulk.
So they showed me this watch, and they're like, "Hey, don't you like this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I like it." And they showed me this one and the green one. So there's these are the new rose gold Code Live 59 chronographs.
Yep.
And then someone in the chat goes, "Hey, why doesn't someone say like, hey, that's too big for you, OC? Like, it doesn't fit. It's not the right, it doesn't look good on you." But everyone else said, "Hey, looks good."
Wears like a 42.
So, yeah, it's big. It's big.
Where's big?
Where's
There's
big?
very little. There's very little meat on the sides. There's like a petite fillet on the sides. You need a strip steak or a ribeye on the sides.
Yeah.
There's not a lot.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of meat on the sides.
Sorry, guys.
thing is-
what's a AT&T something point, access point? Is that some BS? AT&T's trying to like connect me to some weird Wi-Fi.
No, I
I
wouldn't
don't know. It killed
click
me.
on that.
It killed. No,
Oh.
it automatically connected. It killed the stream for me. Sorry about that.
No worries.
That's not good.
It's good. I fixed it. I shut it off. Good.
The thing is, a lot of people also have been talking about the Royal Oaks and the size difference between the 37s and the 41s, and also the
Mm-hmm.
38 chronos
Mm-hmm.
versus the, I guess it's 41 chronos or whatever they are.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And every time I go into AP, I take that
Mm-hmm.
advice and I go and I say, you know, can I see the, and he brought out 37 chrono or the
Mm-hmm.
38 chrono and the 41
Yeah.
chrono.
Yeah.
Now listen, here both of them. And I look at them and I'm used to my 41 time only, my regular Royal Oak. And I think the 37 looks a tiny bit small, but that's just my conditioning, you know. And but also when I first went in to AP in
Mm-hmm.
2020,
Mm-hmm.
I asked the same question. I said, "What size should I get, 37
Yep.
or 41?" And he said, and we tried both of them, and he goes, "No, 41, 100%, no doubt
Yep.
about it, definitely
Yep.
41." I'm like, "Okay, I
Yep.
trust you."
Yep.
And it wears like this. It wears fully on my wrist. Everyone's seen pictures of what the Royal Oak looks like on my wrist. And then so we get to the point of looking at the chronos, the Royal Oak chronos, not the code. And we did the exact same thing today. And he
Yep.
goes, "Yeah, the 41. 100%
Yep.
the 41. You don't even want to look at the 37. It's not
No.
even, don't even consider it." And so, like, all this talk that where people are saying, you know, the 37 is better proportion, the 37 is this, the 37 is that. And that guy, I trust him. He's my sales associate. He's the expert. He says, no, that's the one you want, the 41.
He's not the
Yep.
expert. This crew and this panel knows more than any of those people at the boutique. And I think it was Buckley, forgive me if I'm wrong, who gave the speech about when it's on your wrist, you're supposed to see some of the bracelet because like the sparkle and the shine and what makes it so special is the bracelet. And if all you see is dial, it doesn't wear on you properly. It was Boston or Buckley who ranted about this a couple weeks ago, and
Buckley's
he was
into
right.
that. Yeah. Buckley's
Yeah, and he
into
was
that.
right. He was right. Like you're supposed to see a chunk of
I
the
get,
bracelet on
I
each
get it.
side.
The same philosophy holds true for a date, right? Because the president
Yeah,
bracelet is so incredible that
Yep.
it's
100%.
really the,
Yep.
yeah, I get it. But when I was looking at it, it was an optical illusion, or it looked a little, because I'm used to looking at the other size, it looks small to me.
Yep.
I
Well,
got
Yep.
kicked.
you're indoctrinated. You're
Yep.
indoctrinated into
You are.
In a bad way. In a bad
yeah.
way,
Yep.
perhaps.
No, I
Like
think
I think this looks good. Like I think this
you know.
code looks
You know
perfect on
what?
me.
I'll say this. It depends on how you're gonna wear it. Like if you're wearing it, if you're no
What does
no
that mean?
like
If you're gonna wear it
so
right or
listen.
wrong?
No.
Wear it
No,
around your
I
neck.
think
It'll be good.
no. Listen, hear me out, guys. Easy. I'm at a grocery store here, okay? Don't make me. So what I mean is, if you're gonna wear that watch in a sporty way, okay, it can be bigger. If you're gonna wear it like a dress watch, which it is a dress watch, it does both. Um, then you might want to consider the smaller size to fit under a cuff and to have it more in a formal setting. So I think that there is he's not right. I think there's more leeway with the Royal Oak, like you can do it both ways, and it's personal preference. And I will say this: each one wears totally different too. The chrono wears different than the
Yeah,
three-hander, and the
100%.
jumbo wears different than the 38 chrono. But the only thing that I felt was small on the 37 is the taper of the bracelet gets a little thin on the back that you have to get used to.
Yeah.
But after wearing my Patek steel dress watch, that thing tapers down to 8 millimeters. I don't even know what it is. It's
Yeah.
very feminine on the back.
Mhm.
So it's really like what you get used to whatever you're going to wear. And I think that, OC, you don't have a small wrist. So I think that you can wear the 41, and I think it does fit you well. I don't look at it and say, oh man, he should definitely be wearing a 37. And I think that's kind of the test. If you're like, this guy's like way way over his head, like he shouldn't go swimming with that watch because he's not gonna be able to swim with his right arm.
I mean,
Like,
Humble Pine's a way smaller wrist than I do, and he wears even bigger watches than this. You know,
Should
but
he? Should he though?
Yeah, that's the thing. People
go
are
ahead.
trying to go. It's your channel. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, you can look at this. You can look at this picture. This is me from this morning. And by the way, like, because I lost a little bit of weight, I've lost a little bit of baby fat around my wrist. So my wrist is a tiny bit smaller than it was 4 months ago, which means this watch wears a little bit looser, and it feels better. It feels better actually, just a tad bit looser than it was before. But you can look at this and say, look at that. The lug to lug, it looks like it's going all the way over the top of the wrist, from a certain angle. Some people would say this is too big.
Do you agree people have been programmed incorrectly to think that you're supposed to wear the biggest size that you can pull off?
Yes,
And
they have,
you're not.
and they've been told that if you don't buy the bigger size, it's not going to have the appropriate resale value, because if
Right.
it's not the biggest size, it's considered a unisex watch, and if it's considered a unisex watch, it's going to be seen as less desirable than the man's version. So that also psychologically plays into people's decisions when they get told, like, hey, oh, you could buy this one, but that one's a lot easier to get and it's a lot less in secondary. Like, oh fuck, why would I want that one when I can have that one, the other one, for the same price?
And there's also a stigma. There's a stigma that AP has with 37 that they can't shake, that Rolex doesn't have with 36. And it's just a number. It's just a perception. Like I mean,
but the 37 is that something that came out much later? I mean, I'm assuming all the watches that they made were smaller in the 70s and 80s, right? And this 41 is a new phenomenon that just came out over the last decade. True or not true?
Well, isn't the jumbo's the original Royal Oak size, right?
Yeah, the 39, and the proportions, even the jumbo proportions are very different. Like the jumbo is, everybody thinks, they think 39 as if it was like a 39 circular watch and they can pull it off. The jumbo wears bigger than most people realize.
right.
I don't understand.
It's thinner.
Actually, this is a good question. Why did they even make the 41? Why didn't they just keep a jumbo but in different colors?
It's a different watch.
But it's a different watch as far as dimensions, but it's basically the same watch.
Yeah, but it's like what are those Nikes that Rolex wears? Like you put out like you mess with the dimensions just a little bit and you put something out so that you can keep the jumbo aspirational.
Yeah,
I can't remember what they're not. They're not Jordan 1s, they're not Dunks, they're
Air Force. They're not Jordans. They're Air Force Ones. From
Yeah,
Nike.
yeah.
In black leather, the worst fucking sneakers ever.
Right.
Yeah, terrible.
Sorry, I'm not
Hey, by the
equating.
way-
I'm not equating OC's AP to Air Force Ones. I'm just saying the
No.
marketing strategy.
And I did try on the jumbo today. I tried on a stainless steel jumbo, and it's very thin. It's 9 millimeters.
Yep.
And it sits beautiful. I mean, there's something very elegant about a watch that just looks very, very thin on the wrist. You just, in your mind, you think, well, wow, that has to be extremely well engineered with great tolerances and blah, blah, blah. And then it also looks good, being a lot thinner than you see here. So that was also interesting as well, because I tried on everything. I tried on codes. I tried on, everything. And just to kind of get the lay of the land, because they I mean, at the end of the day, Rosé is going to kill me, but they want me on a 5-watch journey, They're like, hey, they're like, OC, you already got Royal Oak as your first watch. That's great. You know what? You should have 3 Royal Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, they said that's not a problem. They said you should have 3 Royal Oaks. I said that's and they said actually your third watch can be a phenomenal Royal Oak. There's no problem with that.
Yep.
We just don't want you to stop at 3. We think you should have 5. Right? So
At
they have no
least.
problem. Yeah, they said we want you to love the brand, and if you love the brand, that means you're going to buy stuff from, and that means they go back to, even though you've said like you don't like the offshore, they go back to showing you the offshore again. Like, look at the offshore. If you love the brand, you should love this.
Yeah, but they
So
make it too fucking big for most people.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know why they don't understand.
But then,
It's too
then they
big.
just lie to you and they say, "Listen, well, people, obviously it's 43, but it wears fantastically small. Try it on." And you're like, "Yeah,
No,
I
it
guess it
doesn't.
does." So I mean,
At what point are these brands going to be held accountable for their terrible designs?
Ooh, Diego
Well,
coming in to
it's
ruffle some feathers.
I don't think Rolex is gonna ever feel that.
No, what I mean is, if they're telling OC, like, look, if there's 6 APs OC likes, his journey should be those 6, as long as it takes. They shouldn't be saying you got to love it all. It's all
It's
all or
very
nothing.
poor. It's such poor salesmanship.
That's horrible.
It's so fucking
Like,
desperate. If
We know
think
you don't
about it.
like the watch OC, but don't you like AP? It says AP on the dial. Don't you want to sponsor us? Like, what is this? Are you sponsoring AP?
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with saying,
They're not desperate. They're qualifying you of
That's
how
not.
good of a
That's a
but there's
horse
nothing
shit.
wrong.
they want to sell watches, and they've got plenty of people that'll line up to buy
Yeah, but they just.
Royal Oaks, and they don't have
But
enough.
OC just said they said we want to know that you love the brand and the whole.
You don't have to. You don't have to. That is the biggest crock. You can go in there and piss on a collection, a model, tell them everything that's wrong with it, and you're not going to lose your status. I've been very upfront with them about what I like and don't like about AP. I've done the exact same thing with Vacheron. They know what I like and don't like. There's what they like. Go in with an informed opinion, and everybody here has one. Why would you hold back? Why would you pull your punches? Why would you say that something
well, because what I feel is doesn't come across well. What I feel is like this watch. I actually think it's a beautiful watch. I actually love the rose gold. I love the black ceramic mid case. I think it wears well on me. I love the bracelet, the textured rubberized bracelet. I love a lot about it. You know what I don't fucking like? $48,000, right? So like, that's what I don't like. But if I were to say,
That's what they love about it, though.
That's what they love.
See, that's what
But,
they
but
love about
if I say, this watch is great, but I could get it for $32,000 in secondary, they don't want to hear that. They'd be like, well, fucking get lost. This is you should buy from us because when you buy from the boutique, we
you can
give
say that
you
with
access.
every brand right now because every brand has watches that are 30 to 50% off retail on the secondary market. The same thing can be said about Rolex or Patek or
Patek for sure,
or Vacheron or I mean, go down the list. So I think like I don't know. It's not. You really have to like fight through saying like, does the journey make sense? Because the journey is always changing, and even if it made sense now or 6 months ago, so 6 months, say a year ago, you started the journey. Would it have made sense then? Probably, but now a year later, it doesn't make sense all of a sudden. Well, in 6 months that could change, or a year that could change again, and all of a sudden it makes sense again. And then you're like, oh, I should jump back in the journey. Well, then a year from then, it might not make sense. So like we get too caught up in like at any one point in time, does the journey make sense? And it's more like long term, do you love that brand enough to buy a bunch of watches from them, or do you feel like it's a 1 watch or a 2 watch brand? And we all have to make that decision. I have to make that decision with Patek soon. Like, do I continue to buy from Patek, or do I say, you know what, I'm really not into enough watches with Patek to keep shelling out this kind of money, and it doesn't make any sense, and I'll just cherry pick off of the secondary market, or I'll buy secondhand or from the brand or whatever, and I'm good.
The one thing you never bring up, though, you never bring up money. You never bring up price. You never talk money in there. That is the fastest way to make yourself irrelevant and put yourself in the other class.
Who's this guy that sounds like Rose?
I did actually bring up money today because sometimes I do, like, I'll say like, hey, I'm in the middle of doing like, to give them a macro view of my kind of picture, like, hey, here's what I'm doing kind of on a macro level, and here's like the timing of when things might be freed up in order for me to have more disposable income to allocate towards this hobby. So I think I think they appreciate that kind of transparency. Like when you say like September and October is really bad because I'm paying for tuition for 2 kids or whatever. They
Yeah.
get that, right?
So my recommendation would be, you want to have that discussion, but you want to use different reference points. So you want to explain to them where you are on the Ferrari journey and how that's impacting your watch choices. But you never want to be like, or you want to talk about, you want to say,
No,
like, well, I've been very focused right now on some islands in wherever. I'm very, I'm really, really
I didn't-
focused on another boat. And so that's taking, instead of saying money, you want to say attention.
My
So that's
time,
taking a lot
yeah.
of my attention, and I've just been focused on that. I've been really into classic cars lately.
I did it in a slightly different way, Rose. I did it in a way that's kind of more authentic to me. Like the essay was asking, because I'm like, listen, I've done Rolex.
Yeah.
I've pretty much done everything that I want to do in Rolex. There's maybe a couple of pieces that I want to get, and the kind of pieces that are next for me for Rolex are different kind of pieces. He's like, oh yeah, I understand. We have a lot of collectors that it's a lot different coming in and spending $50,000 per watch from us versus $10,000 a pop with Rolex, like you're used to doing. And I said, actually, the pieces that I buy from Rolex are like $60,000 and $75,000 pieces. I don't do $10,000 pieces from Rolex anymore.
Yeah.
That was a lot. That was so. I set the stage like you're in a way competing for dollars from other brands, and those brands aren't charging me $10,000 a watch. My next watch from Rolex would be $75,000.
Yeah.
And everything from Rolex going forward is going to be very, very expensive. Everything from Patek is not cheap. Everything from you guys isn't cheap.
Let me ask you a question, OC. When you put the watch on this code, before I get to the question, it seems like you're riding a fine line. You like the watch, but you don't like the price. What was your reaction in the AD? Did you say, this is beautiful, this fits amazing, I love the ceramic, I love the dial?
I did. I said, first of all, I said I like codes, and I like the people who like codes. That's the most important thing, right? Like my friends, like Boston Collector, Humble Pine, people who have codes. I like them, and I like the fact. Boston.
Sorry.
I just needed a short answer, but the point I'm making is you've pigeonholed yourself into never getting anything else until you buy a code.
Not
by that reaction. Because if you go in now and you say, you know what, I don't have to like everything, and I don't like the code, and I want, like Rose said, guns blazing, they're going to go, you were in here just a couple months ago saying you loved the watch. What happened?
Well, I've always qualified even if I like a watch, I qualify its imperfections. So, like for example, this watch, I would say, you know what, I really, really like it. I love the fact that it has a black ceramic mid case, but I have a lot of black dial watches already. So in other words, like if this watch represented me, it's like, God, I really, really, really love to buy it. Just I have so many black dial watches, to be honest.
You're saying a lot of words that are code for budget, and that's not how you want to position yourself there.
Black dial watches is not code for budget.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Have as many black dial watches as you want. It's
Boston Crinkle champion.
Me? I'm not doing anything.
Boston's organizing his.
Full disclosure, I said
get out of there.
I'm shopping. Full disclosure. I said it before Diego came on.
Are you like feeling all the potato chip bags to see which ones are broken?
No, that'd be there. There you go.
All right. Well, that's
it's always qualified. So, for example, I was on the list originally for the code, the beige steel one, the 3-hander, and that's the one I actually prefer over this one. I just like the look of that one better.
Tell them that.
And actually, it was in my profile over a year ago when the steel codes first came out. When the first steel codes first came out, I went there. They said, "Okay, we'll put this in your profile," and I never pushed them for it. If I wanted it, I could have gotten it easy. The last 2 times I was there, I basically I paused the journey. I worked with. I said, "Listen, I want to pause." They're like, "You want to pause?" I'm like, "Yeah, I want to pause." So that's why I never got it. But so there, I always have caveats. I don't. I mean, if Rose says that was a euphemism for I can't afford the watch, or it's a money issue, I disagree. It's really they know me really well. They know I'm super
Mhm.
picky,
I think
super
you're
picky about
confusing. I
watches.
think you're confusing what you say with what they hear. It's not what you say; it's what they hear.
Yeah, what they hear is, and sorry about the dog, but they might appreciate your candor and your honesty and all that, but they might be looking for the guy that walks in and goes, "Oh, you got to watch to show me? Oh, perfect. Here's my card." You know, like there is some romanticism to making sure the right person gets the watch, but at the same time, they're also in the business of selling. And
True.
if they
True.
have this watch to show you, I highly doubt that you were the first person to see this watch, and they're having an issue getting rid of it. You know, and they're
Yeah,
going to
why does
reward
everyone
they're going to
think?
reward the guy that buys it sight unseen and says, "Yeah, I'm on
No,
the journey."
I think
Why?
that you have to
Why?
pause on the
Wait, wait,
hard
wait, wait.
to having trouble getting rid of things. I think that's overblown.
Well, I
I
think
think they
I
sell
think they
all their
offer them.
watches.
Yeah,
And
they do, but they offer them. There is a caveat. I think they offer them to the people they want to, right?
yes,
But
yeah.
obviously,
I mean, OC is
everybody
a
on the
great
panel,
collector. Let's be
yeah,
honest. Like
everybody on the panel they
most
get offered this
guys, yeah,
watch. You know, like if
yeah.
someone like I don't know Lolex walks in, they're not going to offer it to him. But you get what I'm saying? Like they probably have offered this watch to 10 people before
This
OC.
watch was not available. I mean, this watch is
No.
like when if I said, "Listen, I absolutely love this watch. I'll take it." They would have said, "You know what? How about?" They would have said, "Oh, how about November or December?" Because that's when we anticipate getting maybe another one in.
Yeah, so like so they get this is the thing with AP. It's like Rolex. There's stock watches. So it's like they get a certain number of these watches per year at the boutique. And if they happen to have one that comes in and they're like, "Hey, this just came in, like, if you're interested, like I'm going to call certain people, right? That have been maybe if nobody has it down as like they're waiting on that watch, then they'll call people, right? But if you say, I want that watch, they'll say, okay, well, this one's not available. I've already, sorry, been spoken for, or, hey, I can get you that watch, but it might be like a 6 month, it might be a little bit of a wait. They can't tell you exact sometimes
Yeah.
just because of
But
that.
you've just positioned yourself as the guy. So when someone else says no, which they're going to on these pieces, you're getting that call. You've just positioned yourself as okay.
Yes.
So I'm your backup, and you don't want to be offered backup pieces. Excuse me. You don't want to be getting the backup phone
No,
calls.
no,
Or like
no. This is not I'm not talking about backup. I'm saying if you like that piece, right, then you have to put in for it, and you still might have to wait until they get one in. Like it's going to be a
Well,
wait
I went
unless they
when me and the
just
wife.
happen to
you're
have
gonna
it
get
come in.
these.
Here's the thing, though. When me and the wife went to Boston the first time, I was in an AP for 30 minutes, and then the guy goes, "I think I have a watch for you." I said, "For sale?" He's like, "Yeah." And we'd been talking about the watches I actually like, and he brings out a code. And I said, "This is available right now, a code chrono." And he's like, "Yeah." So
Every
I
person,
don't
every
hold on,
person
hold
in
on,
our community would
hold on,
be
hold on.
offered that code.
I don't think I am so special or I made such an impact on the guy that he said,
No.
we're not even going
Right.
to call the people that were on the list. Like, I love this guy so much. I just met him. He's from Atlanta. He told me he already has an account with the Atlanta boutique, but I'm going to put all that aside and offer Diego this watch. I think that they were having an issue selling it.
Listen, guys.
I think it
There's
could be that he
there's a
just got
lot
that
of
in.
bullshit here.
So
There's
let's not.
no. There's a lot of bullshit here around this. This is the truth, okay? The truth is every person in our community, if they went into AP because they know how to talk about watches, would get offered that code or an offshore of some sort. Every single person in our community. Okay? They're not there is this isn't some really crazy, fucking journey thing. It's just about
No.
spending money. It's just about spending money. They're salespeople. They're not your friend. They don't like you. They don't care about you. When the store hits 7 o'clock, they take their tie off and leave, and they probably fucking hate dealing with you. They don't want to bring you sparkling water. Let's be honest. Okay?
Well,
Third thing is
it's a stopwatch.
everyone keeps talking about, oh, you're not their type of customer. Motherfucker, I could show you 10 car salesmen that have Royal Oaks with a blue dial that got them at retail.
Hmm.
All right, so let's stop with this. This is not a Tiffany colored 5711.
Right.
Okay, this isn't an FP Journe. It's AP.
Hmm.
Just 5-6 years ago, anyone that had money that walked in, they'd sell you one. This is like ridiculous the levels everyone's going to. The people in New York, okay, we make up a watch community of a few hundred people. They make 50,000 watches a year. A lot of them go to New York City. These big ego guys that go into New York City, they don't play any fucking game. They lay their dick on the table and they're an asshole and they get the watch.
Hmm.
I'm tired of hearing about this journey and all this nonsense. It's horseshit. It's horseshit. Anybody will be offered that code. Anybody will be offered these offshores. I got offered a fucking Tiffany Patek because nobody wanted it. And I was an asshole. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, this is a fucking joke. Sure, you get offered a jumbo as your first watch. We'll all stand up and clap. But they're full of shit. Oh, we only make 50,000 watches. Okay, what's your point? Rolex makes 1.5 million. A lot of Rolexes are harder to get than your codes.
Were they telling OC that this is an impossible watch to get?
No, but what they do is they sit you down and say, "We only make 50,000 watches, and we're doing you a favor by offering you one of our watches that fall below retail by 50%. You're not doing me a favor. I'm doing you a favor by handing you my money. You're not doing me a favor. They're not doing us favors. They don't like us. I
Well,
think that
hold on.
there's
Well, they what they're doing from their perspective, they're saying, listen, we have control of who gets what watches. We know
Hmm.
people want certain highly desirable Royal Oaks. Chances are you probably want one of those highly desirable Royal Oaks too,
no, I
because
don't
you're
because I
you're
can't. I don't ever talk about that because I'm not going to ever spend 150,000 on a watch. All I ever wanted was a steel Royal Oak, and the fact is, I didn't ask for it early enough because I was too young and I didn't have the money. I missed the wave, but the reality is the wave is fucking coming to a crash. And I'll probably get offered one in the future. And if I don't, I'll sleep at night. I'm not going to go in there and drop 50,000 on shit I don't want to get a watch that I know they
And
mass
nobody wants you
produce.
to. Nobody wants
Yeah,
you to.
no, but Boston, people do want you to. They
No, they
want you
don't.
to. Yes,
No,
they do.
they want to offer you a watch, and if you don't want it, they say fine. And then they'll
No.
offer you another watch, and it's not going to be a Royal Oak. They'll keep offering you different codes when they come in because they're stock. And then eventually, either you'll buy one of those to accelerate yourself to get the next watch, right? Or you just wait and maybe they'll give you a Royal Oak eventually.
See, that's the
But
thing
it's
is
going to be a
you're
long
talking
wait.
about the way that you're talking about this is as if Rolex said maybe we'll give you a date just eventually. The Royal Oak, the steel Royal Oak is their mass produced watch. This isn't a Nautilus or you
I
understand what
agree,
I'm
but
saying?
there's still, I agree, but there's still a demand.
There's still a demand, but it's not what you think it
It's
is.
more like a GMT.
The reality is they make a ton of money on codes and offshores. People don't want them, so they have to force you to buy them. I
They
like them.
no, that's not true.
It is true. I
That's not
walked into
true.
Italy,
No, they
Boston.
make
I was
they
in
make
Italy. They had 10 in the case that you could walk
yeah,
in and
but
buy
listen,
like
listen.
Omega.
They
Come on.
make a majority of their money on steel Royal Oaks and gold Royal Oaks. That's where they make most of their production is on those. They're making tons and tons of money on those. They don't need you to buy a code. Okay? They only make like 10% of their watches are code.
But
It's a very small number.
every SA is evaluated on his ability to move codes and offshore, not on his ability to sell
That's part of the
Royal
stock.
Oaks.
No, it's
That's
part
not.
of their stock.
They don't get the
Of
they don't get the kind of
course. Of
credit for
course.
moving Royal
Of
Oaks. So that
course.
that guy that guy that's talking to you, he has a vested interest in selling you an offshore or a code.
Yeah.
He doesn't give a shit if you buy a
Yep.
Royal Oak. That doesn't help him in the same
Well,
way.
so I'll give you an example. When everybody was in Boston, they said, I asked them, I said, is there anything available for this group of guys? Okay. And they said, let me see what we have, what just came in. Okay. In the last week, they said, okay, let's see. We've got we got 2 codes that came in. And then they're like, oh, actually, there's a rainbow that just the next day, actually, they called me and they said, oh, a rainbow gem set music edition came in. Okay.
Can I
And I
just say
said,
real
oh, how
quick
much is that?
that was super cool of you to ask them that though.
Yeah,
Like
I was
if I
just like,
could if
hey,
I could
these
give
guys are in
you
town. I said,
I could give
they're
you
good
nooks right
guys.
now, I would. That's a cool move.
Well, I was like, these guys are in town, right? I was like, sometimes it's hard to get them. They live all over the place. Sometimes they're not in there in AD. You know, is there anything available, right? So they said, well, there's these codes, and there's a steel code, 3-hander, and another one, right? And I was just like, okay, well, let me see if anybody's, you know, that interested, whatever. And then the next day they called and they said, well, actually, you know, I don't know if your wife is interested, but there's a $250,000 gem set code music edition. And I'm like, 250 is a lot, right? I'm sure it's crazy. You know what happened with that watch? It sold out within 2 hours. I called back and I was like, oh, you know, can I come and look at the code? She's like, actually, you know, we had somebody that were in and they were looking at it, and then another person called and said they want it, and then the first person took it. Like a $250,000 music edition. Like there's people buying that, you know? And it's like, I'm not, the AP's fine. They're selling all their watches. They have plenty of demand. Like they're not pushing stuff on people. They're not like sending a code down your throat. If you don't want a code, you just say, I don't like that one, right? They're just looking for people. If you like that watch, they want to sell it to you. Okay. So they're offering it to you, but they're like, we tend to look at it like, well, I really want a Royal Oak, and they know that. And it's like, they know that you want a Royal Oak. Of course they know you want a Royal Oak. Everybody wants a Royal Oak. So what are they going to do? Do you want them to give you a Royal Oak over somebody that's bought a code and bought an offshore? Like, is that fair? Right? Like, what makes you so special and such a good customer to them, besides you have other watches with other brands, that they're like, oh yeah, let me get this guy a watch? Unless you build a relationship with them and you go see them over a period of time, like they're not gonna just do that. Why would they?
I just don't think you can put these. I don't think you can put the code in the same bucket as the Royal Oak. If you express it, and again, I'm not criticizing those people who like the code. If you like it, rock it, wear it. That's awesome. If you walk in there, a relatively new person with mediocre communication skills, and you
You're gonna get one.
express interest in the code,
Yeah.
you will get several offered to you. That is not
Yes.
the same with the Royal Oak. You will
I'm
very
not saying it's
soon
the
get
same. I'm
very,
not saying it's the
very
same.
many.
I'm not saying it's the same. Like I think like there's a difference between being offered something and it being like extraordinary demand. There's extraordinary demand on the Royal Oaks. We know that. If
Mhm.
you ask Jumbo though, it's even worse. A Jumbo is 100,000 times more in demand than a regular Royal Oak 3-hander.
Sure, but we're not talking
Almost
about jumbos.
right, but everybody and their grandmother walks in there and wants a blue dial Jumbo, right? Yeah. Okay, and it's the same thing. It's like the difference between a GMT and a Panda Daytona. Panda Daytona, 100,000 more people would buy the Panda Daytona instead of the GMT if offered. right? There's that much demand for these watches. So, but you have to separate a little bit, saying like, oh, they're just like, you could say that about every single Rolex. Oh, they're just offering me the GMT because, you know, they know I want the Daytona, but you know what, it's a GMT. I guess, you know, I guess I'll buy that.
Yeah, but that's not the same, because that would be like getting offered a Royal Oak three-hander instead of a Royal Oak Chrono. You still have the DNA. Rose's point is that the code is, there's nothing about a code other than the dial having an AP logo on it that makes it look like an AP. You know, you're walking in saying, I want a pickup truck, and they're like, well, if you really love
Well, I think
Chevy
the code.
pickup
I think
trucks,
the
you need a
code is
car.
AP. I think the code is AP. I think
It
they did a good
doesn't
job on
look,
that.
they did do a good job, and I like it, but that you're missing the point. Everyone wants the Royal Oak. That's AP.
No, you use the same logic for Rolex.
Rolex, all of Rolex's watches have the same oyster case with different bracelets and gold. A Royal Oak and a code, if you strip the logos off, they look nothing alike.
If somebody goes into Rolex and says, I want a Panda Daytona, and they get offered a dating because it's sitting in the case, is that offensive?
No, it's not. That wouldn't happen though. You wouldn't
Why
be
not?
offered a date. You'd be, if you said I want a sports Rolex, you'd be offered a sports Rolex. But
Are you sure about that?
you're still getting Rolex. When you buy a code, you're getting something that's closer to
That's
like an
your opinion.
RM.
That's your
No,
opinion.
it's not my opinion. Use your eyes. Look at that watch on the screen. That doesn't look like a Royal Oak.
It's a flyback chronograph. That's the
It doesn't
exact
need to
same
look like a
movement.
Rolex. It's an AP.
Yeah.
I think I don't know why you're missing this. You walk in and say, I want a fucking pickup truck. They're saying, here's a Prius. Not
When
here's a smaller
I
pickup
don't
truck.
think
right
I
when
don't think a
99%
dating I don't
when
think a dating
99
is
when
like a
100
Daytona.
when
Sorry.
But
100
Boston, I
people say they
haven't.
want an
So,
AP, when 100 people say they want an AP, 99%, 99 of those people are talking about a Royal Oak.
yes,
That's what they mean.
yes.
No. Well, but take Royal out of the equation for a second.
Th-
Okay?
You can't.
If
That's the
AP
brand.
No, it's not. For you it is.
For 99 people in the room. You're right. Not for everybody. You're right. There's
Yeah.
there's
MJ.
It's
there's
like
one in
it's like if
100.
I
MJ.
You're
hey,
right.
I
Yeah, and
I
and that's
honestly
great.
I know how you guys feel because I feel that way about Vacheron. I went into Vacheron, I had a conversation with them, I said, I can't buy a watch from you. And they said, oh, really? I said, yeah, I can't buy a watch from you. They said, why not? I said, well, you don't make a steel 222. They said, no. And I said, if you did make a steel 222, you're not going to sell it to me. And they said, no, probably not.
But you're not talking about a collection. You're talking about one piece.
And that's what you're talking about.
No, I'm talking about the
No.
entire portfolio. I'm talking about the entire collection of Royal Oaks. For in any conversation when people are talking about AP, 99% of them are talking about Royal Oaks. Yes, maybe 98, maybe 97, but the overwhelming majority of people are talking
But
about Royal Oaks.
you're looking at it like you're looking at it though too much like this is like you're missing the point of AP. The point of AP
Is the
no,
Royal Oak.
listen. No, it's not. No, it's not.
I don't know
Yes,
what
it
to do
is.
here. I
No,
don't know what
the
to do
point of
here. I
AP
feel like I'm going in
no.
circles.
The point of AP is not the Royal Oak. The Royal Oak is just a monoline. Okay? The point of AP is to show their watchmaking, okay, across whatever they do. And they push the boundaries of materials and different things across all of their watches, right? There's a difference between the way
They do.
Vacheron makes their watches in each line and the way that Rolex does. I mean, or AP.
And
You know,
the vast majority of people want those expressions in the Royal Oak collection. The materials, they want a ceramic AP. The watchmaking, they want a perpetual Royal Oak. Excuse me, a ceramic Royal Oak. The watchmaking, they want a perpetual or a terb Royal Oak. Like that's what they're thinking. There's a few exceptions. But
I think that people that are not familiar with AP automatically gravitate towards Royal Oak, and that's why you're saying that.
I don't think that's true at all. I think
I
that
do think it. I
I
do
think
think it
okay.
is because it's one
I'm
of the most
split.
iconic watches. It's
I
like
gotta
Patek is
listen,
like that
listen,
too.
listen. I'm split here. I like the way the code looks. I really do. I owned one. I thought that watch was great, but I think you're drinking the APSA juice way too hard, and you're starting to really believe. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm a pessimist here, but I can't fathom that you believe that. There's no way you believe that. The AP is about achieving royal oaks. They make the code, it's nice. They make the offshore, it's nice. But this isn't, you don't have to understand watchmaking to understand AP. You don't. You want a fucking royal oak. It's like wanting a Daytona and a Day Date, the two greatest watches ever made.
I think Boston sometimes takes the extreme viewpoint just to kind of counterbalance some of the anti Maison sentiment. But of course, everyone understands that when you're into AP, yes, you'd like to have some Royal Oaks. We get that. Royal Oak Chronos, Royal Oak Ceramics, Royal Oak Perpetuals, whatever. Those are those do represent the brand. They represent the history, I mean, not the history prior to the 1970s, but they are the modern representation of a luxury sports watch. So, but the Boston's point, that doesn't mean you don't. I mean, they want to diversify their. They don't want it to be just the Royal Oak Company, so they have other lines they introduce, and their goal is to find out which of their customers actually like those other things, so they can
Right.
broaden their horizons a little bit.
I
But
feel
that's what
like
they want. That's what they want. That's not what we want. We want them to just pump out as many Royal Oaks as they possibly can, so that they're accessible to people and so that people can get them. And
yeah,
that's what if AP just said, look, here's what we're going to take the next 3 years and we're just going to jam out Royal Oaks. Most people would say, great,
Yeah.
that's awesome. A few people would object. A few people would say, no, come on, like there's other things. But that, I mean, we know who they would be. Everybody else would say, wonderful, I'm going to get one.
I have a question.
nobody cried when the Cellini lineup was discontinued from Rolex, and I see the Cellini lineup similar as I see the codes.
Ooh, that's offensive. But wait a
But
minute.
no, but in
That's
reality,
offensive.
like I was listening to what you guys were saying about the DNA of AP is the Royal Oak. Well, you could say, well, is the Cellini the DNA of Rolex? And a lot of
No.
people would say no, it's completely different. Like you could change the logo and nobody would know it's Rolex. And nobody cried when the Cellinis were discontinued, except for a few. Some people said, "Oh, I'll miss it." And I think if the code disappeared, it'd be the same sentiment. Now, Rolex, I think, saw the writing on the wall that this really isn't a big seller. People aren't running in to buy Cellinis to get the Daytonas. They'd rather buy their wife a Datejust.
They did it with the Yachtmaster too, also.
Yeah. So
And the Milgauss.
I think if AP could just be honest and say, look, these are codes, yeah, they're interesting, they're cool, they're beautiful, but it's not what the people want, and we shouldn't be forcing these down our customers' throats. Like if somebody walks in and says I'd love a Royal Oak, don't call that customer until you have a Royal Oak for them. Stop offering the codes. We're aware of the codes. We're aware of the offshores.
But that's their job is to represent the brand and
Yeah,
and
But
convince
they're
you
doing a
like, hey, you
bad
know what?
job.
fuck convincing. We just look at the watch. We decide what we like, not what a sales associate. A sales associate offering you a
OC.
watch is a horrible way of convincing you that you should like the watch.
OC.
No,
I got a question.
they're showing you the watch and you say, hey, do you like this?
OC.
And
Can I,
Show
and
me,
of course, and they pepper it
show
with,
me
hey,
a Royal
this is
Oak.
a great looking watch. This looks great on you. They're
Yeah, but
salespeople.
yes, but hold on.
That's true.
Why don't we think about it like this? And I know Boston's going to disagree, and that's fine. But maybe they did a very bad job at their job, because
Yeah.
what
Where's
Cloud
the
Ken is
celebrities? Where's
because
the
Cloud
celebrities wearing
Ken
codes?
what Cloud Ken is saying there is what 99 out of 100 people also think when they see someone wearing a code, which means the brand failed to make that work. The sentiment is if you have a big offshore, it doesn't fit your wrist, and you have a code, you are someone's bitch at AP. No one's looking at the watchmaking. I like both, but I'm fucking rare breed that I like all three. You will not find many people that want and like all three, right? So the brand itself, and I blame Francois for his aggressive fucking crazy cokehead type tactics running a company. They
Jesus
just
Christ.
don't do a good job at getting this message
Here's
across. You should have to buy a steel Royal Oak before you're allowed to buy a code.
Yeah, let me ask you guys a question. We have John Mayer. We have what's that rapper's name? Humble
Travis
Travis
Scott.
Scott.
Travis Scott. Yeah. What's his nickname? Like Cactus Jack. You
Cactus
got
Jack.
people like that. You got Serena Williams and all these people. Royal Oak, Royal Oak, Royal
Exactly.
Oak. Why didn't they do
Exactly.
that if they did that with the code? If they had LeBron rocking the Star Wheel, or like they failed as a brand to make this watch wantable. The sales associates now are scrambling. You go in, you say,
Yeah.
OC says, I want a
Exactly.
ceramic AP chrono, Royal Oak. And they say, they know OC wants that. Yet they bring out a code to show him.
Because no
Yeah.
one would have nobody would have believed that. It would have been like what Tudor tried when they remember when they did the brand ambassadorship with David Beckham and Tudor, and when he
Right.
showed up anywhere that mattered, he had a Rolex on his wrist. And
Right,
if
exactly.
they'd have done that, they would have worn codes for 2 weeks, and then after that you would have seen them wearing a Royal Oak on their wrist, and everybody would have gone, "See, that's what they really want."
Yeah. The difference, though, is at least Tudor tried.
Yeah, fair.
AP
That's fair.
didn't even
Yeah. Like
try.
how about the roast of Tom Brady? Instead of having 10 of the fucking 20 people on stage wearing a Royal Oak concoction, why don't you give Kevin Hart a code to wear? Right? They don't even try to do it. They did one thing with John Malkovich recently in a magazine. One thing with the code. Like you're making the impression everyone gets is that if you have a code, you're on the journey and you're someone's bitch at AP. I didn't decide
That's
that.
not true. That's not true. That's
Yes,
their.
it is. Yes, it is.
They don't.
It
They
is.
they have a lot. They have so much respect for their customers who love the code and appreciate the code. They do not think that
It's
way
who
about those
cares?
customers.
Who cares? No, 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 no. It's not about the way they think about those customers. It's about the way everyone else thinks about you. That's why people don't want to buy them.
I don't
That's why
think that
people
way
don't.
about people who have codes. I think that they love the
Most people
codes.
do.
Most
Most
people
people
do.
do.
Most
Because
people do.
most people that are into AP, I hate to tell you guys, they're hype fuckboys. They're not the people that really love watches. They're at Phillips auctions and they're buying Patek and they're at the Vacheron boutique because they've had the AP. They had the AP 20 years ago before you even had a thought in your brain to buy an AP.
Humble
And
Pine,
I'm
jump
not
on the panel. Set these guys
humble
straight.
exactly. Humble Pine had Patek and AP before I was fucking even
He
a
and he
sperm.
had Royal Oaks, and he bought 3 codes, and he bought the fucking worst ones. He has the two-tone silver dial that looks like a pie dish,
Yeah,
which
but
I
didn't
criticize
he?
him for. He has the
Didn't he
he has the
tell
blue
us?
Fume, which is a nice one. And he has the Star Wheel, and he
Didn't
loves
didn't he
codes.
say he bought the codes though because he's going after the perpetual?
No, he's not going
OC.
after the perpetual.
I know, I'm just joking.
OC. I like the code. I
So do
can
I.
stand in both circles here and say I like the code, but at the same time I understand the way it's interpreted. And it the offshore doesn't have that as much because Rose said it once and he said something that I hadn't heard or thought of in a long time. And I remember right before COVID, which was people who had an offshore were really fucking wealthy, really, really, really wealthy. When you were wearing a big offshore on like a blue rubber strap, black, right? That guy has some money. And they always did. The Rolls Royce, crazy Ferrari, because it was like their weekend warrior, fuck you sports watch. Now, it's not the same interpretation. It's not, I'm sorry, it's just not. And you can try and you gotta remember, you're in the watch community. The watch community is the ones that get swindled the hardest of anybody. You want to try to get someone to believe something about a watch, you go to the watch community. Okay?
Oh shit, Mr. G just joined the chat, and he's the one who's one of the firm believers that AP is forcing people to buy the code. And so it's going to be really interesting now that he's here because he's of the mindset that like, hey, if you say I only buy things that I love, and the sales associate shows you this, and you say, oh well, I really don't love it. They go, well, great, then you don't deserve, then you don't get any Royal Oaks.
Yeah, you don't love the brand then. You don't love the brand. I could tell you guys this much at the Patek I shop at. They don't like AP customers. And they don't like AP across the street. Just saying.
Can we
Things are
give
way
Happy
worse.
Meal a wrench?
Real World Curly has a wrench. Does Happy Meal need one too?
I don't think Real World Curly has one.
Oh, he does. I gave it to him already.
Okay. Let's be consistent.
All right, Happy Meal. Fine. Here you go.
I know this is a harsh
Sorry.
I know this is a harsh conversation, but this is a topic of people
This is but AP is tame compared to Patek Philippe. These guys, Patek Philippe.
Oh,
is,
yeah.
very different
Is-
though.
Oh yeah.
It's very
is-
different though.
I mean, I went to the AD yesterday, and I said, listen, I saw you in Geneva. I think everybody knows who I'm talking about. And I asked you about what it's like to be on the journey with Patek Philippe. He's like, listen, we make our own decisions. We're an AD. Patek doesn't tell us what to do. If we find a collector that we like, we'll give them the watches that they want, right? But then at the same time, it's extremely competitive. These are people who've been collecting for decades. It's New York. It's one of the wealthiest markets. And, you're
Yes.
never going to get a Nautilus. You're never going to get an Nautilus. So it's like, why?
Well, hold on. The difference here though, OC, there is a difference. The Royal Oak is the 80 and the other stuff is the 20. When it comes to Patek, the Nautilus and the Aquanaut are the 20, and
Fair point.
the dress watch making and the watchmaking Patek does is the 80. And I promise you, and Rose could back this up, and anybody else who's up in that Illuminati world, guys like Russell and whoever, when you go to the auctions and these people spend millions on Patek, they're not even concerned about a 5811. They don't care about a 5811. They get offered them like, what's that going to do for me?
If you
AP
show up
doesn't
at
have that, right?
yeah,
Patek had respect. Patek has had respect for decades. Patek has been the king for decades. AP just showed up a few years ago. I'm sorry.
I can tell
Sorry.
you this: if you go to a Tiffany Patek event with their best customers, there is not a single person there wearing a sports piece.
Yeah,
very
that would
different.
be pedestrian if you showed
It would
up.
be, and I'm saying Tiffany. I'm saying Tiffany Patek. It would be
Yeah.
like showing up. It's like showing up at Watch Time New York in your Rolex and thinking you're gonna flex.
Yeah.
Like it just.
The Illuminati of the watch world, they wear complications on straps. They don't wear these.
Yeah, they
things that
call
we
those,
like.
those are Jetstream pieces.
OC, who's Govberg's son? What's his name?
Brian Goffberg.
Brian Govberg. Okay, he's like a Patek freak, and they have a Patek AD. All this. They had people on. I think he was on with some crazy Patek collector, and the guy before this was before the hype. This was like 2015, 2016 when they used to do those collector conversation videos. They don't do anymore. And the guy said, he's like, Patek is dress watches and watchmaking, and they created the Nautilus as a side watch so that you don't take your Patek off to go sporting. That's what it was there for. It was like this little side thing that, I could pick that up because, if I'm going to go get wet or something, I have these watches. The fact that they have become the top is something that's a problem for Patek because it doesn't make any sense. Their most basic bitch watch that like nothing really goes into is the hardest watch to get. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, so they force you to have 3 Patek dress watches, ram them down your throat, and then they say, "Oh, you don't want those? Oh, okay. Hey, you know what? Even if you buy those 3 dress watches, we'll just offer you a grand comp first before your
Well-
Nautilus. Oh, wait, no, we'll give you an Aquanaut. We know you want a Nautilus, but we'll give you an Aquanaut. And then we'll give you a grand comp, and then you can get a Nautilus. That's much better than AP.
Well,
They don't
I
they
can tell
don't
you
force
this.
you to buy bad dress watches. Oh, and what are they above retail? Oh, they're not. They're 40% off, like the code. Oh, how does that work,
Yeah,
Yeah.
motherfucker?
but Boston,
Where's the numbers?
I can tell you, and Diego's my witness. That Patek AD is full of assholes.
Every Patek AD is. Every Patek AD. I have six
Except
ADs.
except mine. Except mine.
I have six ADs, not Atlanta.
I remember when
Atlanta's great.
Boston was pulling up my AD owner. He's like, "Let me give her a call." I was like, "What the fuck's he doing?"
I was like, oh yeah.
Listen, I don't make the rules, but you can't ignore the facts and how each brand works, right? I'm not saying you're wrong, Boston, but what I am saying you're wrong about is the fact is it might even be less than 20%. I think you said it was 15% are only Nautilus and Aquanauts. That's not the case for AP.
I
15%
know.
are
And you're saying that
offshores.
like a bad thing. I think it's a good thing. I think AP
It's
actually
not a
sees their
good thing.
customers. No,
It's
no.
not a good
AP
thing that
actually
they're
sees their customers and they say, hey, you know what? Everybody wants a Royal Oak. We're going to try to make as many as we can and still keep our quality high. Okay. And they try to get people Royal Oaks, but you know what? They only make so many watches. And they felt like, hey, we can show off our watchmaking with these codes. Let's try them out. It's still
Yeah.
early, but they're making better watches. But at the same time, you can't say I disagree with Diego saying it's a failure when a lot of people really like the codes and they're
They-
beautiful watches. You know, like
well,
it's
when I
never
say,
supposed to be better than the Royal Oak. Like
hold
there's
on. When I said it's a failure, and I'm on record. You can go back and watch the tapes where I say that if it didn't say AP, if it separated itself from the Royal Oak, it might win some watch award, right?
yes.
For the technology, for the design, for the originality. The failure to me was in the marketing and it was in the way that this watch was offered. Buckley made a really good point where he said if they had made the code more difficult to get, people would be salivating for it. People would be
100%.
lining up for it, and they didn't do that. And if the notion that they make less codes than Royal Oaks is true, they failed as a business in the way that this watch was introduced.
They do.
They
They
really
make
they
way
really did.
less.
They're more
I think
expensive. They're
I
more
think
expensive
the
than Royal Oak steels, right? They're more complicated. Some might say they're better finished. I mean, there's no Star Wheel Royal Oak. Why they should have made this extremely difficult to get. They should have marketed it with celebrities, or at least attempted to. They should have been at Basel World showing this watch off like crazy. They weren't, right? They might have been. I don't know. I'm just making that up. But I don't remember. I don't remember ever seeing anybody excited about this watch that mattered. And that's a
And
failure on AP.
people also forget about, the code's been out for a while. The best thing they did to get more people to look at codes and start buying them is start putting them on, these ballistic nylon straps. They made it
Yep.
sportier. Before, I mean, when the codes came out, they were all on leather straps. I don't know if they were
Yeah.
croc or leather or what.
Yep. They were very
Yeah,
conservative, and they changed it to this textured rubber, and it
yep,
instantly made it
instantly.
instantly a little bit more casual, a little bit more sporty.
Right.
And then, of course, a couple of years later, they followed it up with the changing of the dial. They
Yep.
added that it's a stamped, but it's a very cool concentric pattern on the
Right.
dial, and they got rid of the ugly 12, the ugly. Sorry, people who have the old one, the 369 12, whatever
Yep.
on it, and
Yeah.
they put regular batons on the three hander. They moved the date to the 3 o'clock position, and it looks a lot better.
But I would argue the biggest change was putting it on that nylon strap, which makes it sporty, which makes it feel more in line with the brand because the brand is the Royal Oak. And I know that's silly to suggest that like a nylon strap makes you think about the Royal Oak, steel or whatever you want to call it, the finished bracelet. But the idea is move it more into the realm of sports pieces.
Yeah.
It gives me more of an RM type of thing.
Yeah, fair.
But I don't know. I mean, this is a harsh conversation, guys, but I'm just I mean,
No, this is good. This is good.
We-
This is the kind of tension that is building because
I just
wait,
OC.
hold on a second, because watch prices are dropping still. Okay, and people are feeling the pressure. They're like, shit. You know what? Why I'm consolidating my collection? Why the fuck didn't I consolidate a year and a half ago when prices were much higher? There's tension.
Well, because
with,
you would have had to sold and hold, and that's very difficult.
right.
Yeah,
So
and also OC, you're pretty good about, not getting worked over. I feel like in this situation, because you haven't bought a watch in so long and you had a good appointment at AP, you're starting to believe a little bit of what they're telling you, which is very unlike you to believe the hoopla.
listen,
Have we?
50,000 for a watch is a lot of money for a watch. Don't get me wrong. I don't part with 50,000 willy nilly. This is, if I got the call tomorrow, I'd be like, it's probably still a no.
Well, have we? I missed the first half of the stream. Did you discuss the next piece potentially that you were told about?
Well,
on air?
I mean, they're basically, I mean, they want me to buy as many watches as possible, right? They want someone who's going to buy watches far into the future. So they're like, listen, if you're going to be AP and you got a Royal Oak as your first watch, that's phenomenal. But you should probably have 3 Royal Oaks. So that means throwing in either a offshore or a code 1159, and then the next Royal Oak, and then maybe offsetting it with the next alternate piece, and then another Royal Oak. And those the pieces that they're mentioning are really, really great pieces.
I think if it's, I guess we're not going to say which one it is, but if it's the one we discussed earlier, I think it changes the conversation dramatically. But then that conversation can go 2 ways, which is, well, just buy it on the gray right now. It might be discontinued. I mean, there's so many variables if you get on the journey. But if you get on the journey and it's successful, it might be worth it, because now you're in that upper echelon of customers who have gotten that piece, and that opens up a lot of doors. You might never have to go back to a code,
Right. A lot of people have said what Sammy the Bunny is saying. Rose has said something similar. Like, you already asked for the one that you wanted and you got it and it's a banger. Why do you need more? And that's a fair point.
Yeah.
Why would you need a rose gold blue dial Royal Oak? Why would you need a white gold Royal Oak chronograph? Why would you need a black ceramic? Why would you need a jumbo? It's like, and those all make sense. It's like, why go overboard when you've got the essence of what you already wanted anyway? Nothing's going to get better than what you already got.
It's because we're scumbags. We're scumbags and we're bored.
Because watch collecting is competitive. That's why.
That too.
And I don't care what anybody says. I've never met a top watch collector or a top panelist that wasn't competitive. The ones that aren't competitive are boring. Go collect Seiko. All right? That's like the Wolf of Wall Street song. The Wolf of Wall Street line.
Buckley, we want
They're not-
everybody to get a watch. Come on. We want everybody to get a watch. We all want to have the same watches.
Yeah.
You want everybody to get a watch that you want every.
Well, hold on. The competition, though, I think the competition is within each other, right? It's not a competition against Rose or OC or Boston. It's a competition of what can I achieve? Can I beat the system? It's competition against the ADs and the other customers in your area.
For some, but I think people are not willing to be honest about, like, people. I mean, I know this sounds cynical, but there's a lot of people who are really happy if you get a watch that I already got, and then they're happy about it because they're like, oh yeah, no, that's good, that's great, been there, done that, that's wonderful for you. And I people aren't honest about sometimes what they're really thinking, and people are gonna hate on me for saying this. That's fine. But there's a lot of people that are really competitive that go, oh, congratulations. I'm so happy that you got your Daytona. And what they're really saying is, oh yeah, welcome to the club that, like, I've already been here for 10 years and I gotta go. But I'm glad they finally let you in. Peelers aren't willing to admit it. Sorry to be cynical.
That's okay. We got a super chat.
Super chat. Thank you very much for your generous contribution to the Hate Streams Happy Meal, $5. It reads, any channel that can get President Biden on the panel and make the Rodent 100 channel all in one night deserves a super chat. Send money, Noah. Thank you very much. Send money now. Thank you very much, Curly. Really appreciate it.
Come on, man.
Super chat.
I'm a
Thank you
six
for your very
handicap.
Thank you for your very generous contribution to the Hate Streams, Mathis. $1.99. It reads, entire panel needs to call 1-800-ADMIT-IT. Thank you, Mathis. Really, thank you so much. By the way, this is the green version. I also tried on the green version. It's got the green strap and the green dial, rose gold, but this one doesn't have the black ceramic mid case. So I really like the one with the black ceramic mid case. It adds a little visual contrast to it.
Here's an idea, OC. Get on the journey and just get a steel three-hander.
That's another thing. It's a steel three-hander.
I mean?
Is the taupe one. I can pull it up, but you guys know what it looks like. It's a
lot more
beautiful watch.
palatable of a journey.
Yeah, but they want you. I mean, obviously, they said we want you to buy the expensive one because that's harder for us to sell. I mean, they're very transparent. I mean, we talk in code, they talk in code, but we all know what we're saying. You know, there's a common translation. You know, like when Rose says, like, OCU said something and they interpreted it as this. Like when they said, oh yeah, but the chronograph is so much nicer. Like I'm reading it as, yeah, of course it's twice as expensive. Of course you want me to buy that one. And
so now
much harder.
Now it's not just we'd like you to be a fan of the code lineup. You're like, all right, I'm a fan. They're like, we want you to be a fan of the really expensive code lineup.
Yeah, I want to be a fan of expensive ones.
You're like, but I really like the three-handers. They're like, yeah, so does everybody else.
This is so much more to love.
Everybody else likes a steel one.
Look,
Aren't you
flyback
different?
chronograph. Don't you want a flyback chronograph?
Yeah. Well, I guess that journey, because I would say, like, if you said, all right, fuck it, guys, I'm going to buy a steel code, blue dial, I'd say, all right, whatever. I kind of like that watch. But if they're trying to force you to,
so you have thresholds. So you're like, okay, listen, if they want to spend $25,000, okay, and it's the watch sells for 18, okay, that's whatever. It's $7,000 hit. But if they want me to spend 48 and it sells for 33, that's a $15,000 hit. That's too much. You know, that's too much.
It's not even about the loss. It's just about, like, you should be able, like, if they're putting you into that, you got to get a code deal. You should be able to pick the one you like and not be asked or suggested to get the gold chrono flyback. You know,
that's true. But they won't force me to buy anything that I don't like. And I've said, for example, like they're like, hey, do you like the Royal Oak Chrono? I said, yeah, but I don't like the fact that they're monochromatic now and they don't have a panda or a reverse panda dial. They're like, okay, well then we'll just wait until those come out. You know, they
won't force.
They're not putting a gun. They're not putting a gun to your head.
No. Yeah, but the other side of that coin is they're also not going to call you for that next Royal Oak. They're not forcing you to buy a code, but they're also not going to. They're not just going to, like, forget, right?
Well, their job is to test, push you to the limit to see what you're. I mean, they want to sell more to you, and if they know that if they sold you 2 Royal Oaks in a row, they don't want to set that precedent.
You know what works better, in my opinion? Sell the customer something they actually want, and they'll come back and do business with you. So I got a lot of watches I actually wanted. When I need to buy jewelry, you know, the engagement ring, or I go back.
But isn't that what I'm doing right now? Like when they sold me a Royal Oak as my first watch, right? I feel more appreciative that they did that, and I'm more likely to be understanding and flexible when they say, "Hey, now we'd like for you to look at the code." I say, "You know what?
But
you could have really treated me like shit and said, you know what? You have to buy the code first before you get the Royal Oak." But they didn't. They said, "You know what, OC, you can have the Royal Oak first." Of course, now I'm going to be a little bit more appreciative and say, "Okay, Now they're asking me to buy the code. I should respect the fact that they're asking me for that.
Exactly, but it should be on your terms. You should get to pick the blue three-hander or the taupe three-hander steel.
And
Right,
I can, and I can anyone I want. I'm sure.
Well, then do that. I just said do that, and you said, but they want you to get this one.
Well,
How about you
of
just give
cour-
them $2,000 in an envelope and see how that goes?
I don't think that would. That's not appropriate. That's not.
Hold
They
on.
want to sell. They
Hold
want to
on,
be
hold on, hold
professional.
on, hold
They
on.
want to be professional.
Yeah, because that's what the Reddit forums say about all the salespeople that were fired from all these brands, how professional they are. Are you guys naive enough to believe that in New York City that's not happening every day for great watches, and that it doesn't work?
I'd like to be more idealistic and think that these people are professional and that they do not do that kind of shit.
Yeah, well, they do.
Ooh.
They do, though. They do. They do all the time. They do all the time. Francois is one of the people who was doing it himself. So
Listen, Buckley, every industry has a few bad eggs, and that
A few
doesn't
bad
spoil
apples.
it for everybody.
That's
A
right.
few bad apples doesn't spoil it for everybody. I can't even
Whole
say it with
bushel.
a straight face. It's so bad.
this industry has a tremendous amount of essays that are bad eggs, and they're not even bad eggs. They're doing what humans do, which is, if I'm going to make 0.5% commission on this watch, or if you give me a few $1,000s cash in a bar or wherever, and no one's ever going to find out about it, which is 10 times my commission, maybe I'll just give you the fucking watch. I mean, why is this like? People get all weird about this topic. Like, oh, no, you're crossing the line. It's like, am I? It's no different than getting a PayPal instead of a super chat, so you don't have to pay the 30% fees.
And taxes.
So,
Yeah,
so
I
that
don't-
used
I don't have
that used
PayPal.
to Buckley, that used to happen a ton, and in certain very key brands with some very well-known people, but it's an after-show topic. Like, it happens all the time.
I know, like this is not. Just go on
It's not
fucking
a
Google,
secret.
guys.
It's not a
It's not a
secret.
secret. There's Reddits and all sorts of shit that tells you exactly how to do it. This isn't
Yeah.
like, I don't know. I don't know. I feel like everyone's beating around the bush because they're afraid that, like, out of 51 people, 25 of them are SAs and we're not going to get watches, but that's not the case. And Rose didn't call our ADs to blacklist us. Like, there's nothing to be afraid of here. Because the reality is 30 people walked into Patek today, 50 walked into Rolex, 20 walked into AP, and told the SAs to go fuck themselves. And they do that every day.
Mute the mic noise ASMR Viking watch talk.
Yeah, Boston has been muted at the request of the audience.
I hear you, Buckley. I don't know about that going on near me, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Okay, so if you give them a
You know,
$500
we-
bottle of wine,
We had the
okay,
cufflinks incident in Atlanta, So,
I mean, how much different is it? Like OC goes and he goes to all his essays like once a quarter, once every 6 months, and hands out a bunch of gifts, right? A gift is a gift.
A gift is a gift, but there's a difference between giving. Like I popped in. I happen to know like my essay's daughter's birthday. She's turning 3 on July 15th, so I come in
but
with a gift.
that's not genuine. You're doing it to get the watch. Do you do
No,
that for your?
really.
What did you do that from the person you bought your Acura from?
No, I don't give a fuck about them.
There you go.
but if you wanted a
call-out night.
GT3 RS, he'd definitely be buying that guy.
Exactly.
They come in with Boston Collector macaroons.
Listen, tonight is night of truth. If you can't handle the fire of the truth, then you got to get out
No,
of the
there's
panel.
of course there's leverage in the relationship, and you're playing. There's leverage dynamics going on, so you want to be liked. So how do you be top of mind when the next watch comes in? That person gave me a bottle of Barolo 3 months ago for my birthday, and they were one of the only 2 customers that remembered my birthday, and that's what I want to be. I want to be one of those people that. Got Oliver remembered my son's birthday. That's pretty nice of him, even though I know that he's doing it, but the fact is he still did it and nobody else did. And the fact that he took the time to remember when it was and to know how old my son is and how old my daughter is, what my wife's name is, what she does for a living. Those things are important. That's what they do. That's their job, actually. Their job is to actually do that, but they can't do it with 500 people effectively. They probably do it with their top 50 clients. But that's just how to build good relationships with people, right? Care about them.
Yeah,
And
that happens.
not
Here's the thing.
inauthentically, but actually, like, listen, I understand that I get stuff from you. You do stuff to help me. I do stuff to help
Well,
you, and just showing mutual respect for that.
let me defend OC here, because some people, and probably people on this panel, will say, "Oh, it's cringe to bring gifts and all that," but in business, it happens all the time. You take people golfing, you invite them to a ball, right? You give them tickets to a game. Why are you doing that? Because you want something in return, and there's no contract that says, "Hey, enjoy those box seats, but you got to do this." No. It's all implied, and it's the same with the ADs. Getting, if OC got, I don't know, black ceramic Chrono Royal Oak from AP because he put in the effort of remembering birthdays and bringing gifts and all that, him getting that watch at retail is like winning a really big contract with huge profit.
No, it's
Right.
not. It's like getting $30,000 extra in your pocket, and that's why people do it.
Well, that's what business is getting extra money
Yeah.
in your pocket as much as you can.
You're saying what I'm saying essentially. I'm just being a little bit more rude about it. But let's stop pretending. Like, can everybody stop pretending for a second? If Boston gets called for an open work AP, they just handed him $100,000,
Yeah.
right?
The
We
difference,
get it.
though, is the cash. If you do the cash in business, I think that's illegal.
Not
I
illegal.
don't think it's.
What's illegal? What's illegal?
If I were to.
Okay,
If you gave
so let me ask you a question.
for a
Let me ask you a
contract,
question. Let me ask you a question. If I want a Panda Daytona as my first watch, and I tell the SA, "Hey, come get lunch with me," and I slide 2,000 over in an envelope so I get the Panda Daytona, who calls the
that's not
cops there?
illegal. No.
No, it's not illegal.
I didn't say that was illegal. I said if it was a business dealing, it would be, right.
Yeah,
If
but
you're
this is not business dealing. This
and that's
is
why I'm saying I don't see an issue with people bringing gifts, right? Like if OC wants to bring the bottle of wine or whatever, I don't have an issue with that.
I don't have an issue with people bribing the SAs.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything. I mean,
If you're willing to do it, by all means do it. I don't see I don't I'm not sure why people are dancing around this, because the watch community it's all
I,
our
th-
community, and
I
these
think
things go on.
people
And
dance around this, Buckley, because I don't think a lot of people are aware that even happens.
no, they are. Everyone just turns a
Type,
blind eye.
type 1 in the chat if you know of people. I mean, I know because I've heard a couple stories, but it's never in the back of my mind. It's never even a thought. It's not it's not in my repertoire of tools to get a watch. I don't ever think, oh, maybe if I do a bribe. And I don't think a lot of people think like that. Maybe the guys
Let me ask you a
that
question.
work at the dealerships, absolutely. But I don't know if Small G's ever considered to give a bribe, or Evan G. You know what I mean? Mathis, like, they don't think like that.
But there's a risk that if you do that it will be interpreted as, holy shit, this guy tried to bribe me. That's a violation of my code of conduct. If this guy could be setting me up, and you politely decline it, and they may like, you know what, I don't want to deal with this guy because he actually tried to circumvent the process and actually pay me under the table. That's why
you give it to him
never,
that's why you give it to him after you get the watch. Everybody does this.
Yeah, that's not how it works, though. See, this is the problem here. Is that's not, like Rose said, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, I get it. We're in a dark area nobody wants to go to. We don't have to.
Yeah, we're on the dark. We're on the dark web, so it doesn't matter. By the way, there's 50 people watching this garbage. There's 3 on Tinder and 7 on Grindr, 3 on MySpace, and 2 on AOL.
We can go there, Buckley. I was just giving you the caveat that, you say like everybody acts like this doesn't happen. Well, I think a lot of people genuinely, they don't even know that that's a realm of possibility.
Well, that's my
You know?
point. Is the guy who
So
gets
that's
the
that's not the reason that we're not talking about this or we're not agreeing. Like I honestly, it's not even in my mind.
well, that's the point. Is the people who are the watch enthusiasts are always picked last for the watches.
Right.
That's why at Red Bar they look down at Rolex. It's because they can't get them. They don't know
True.
how to get them. That's why they leave with a Seiko and a Tudor, and they go, it's just as good. And I have to, to mentally function, I have to watch Theo and Harris every day, so I believe that over time. But it's not. The Oyster bracelet shits on your Grand Seiko bracelet. I'm sorry. I've never met anyone that left a Rolex to go to a Grand Seiko that was happy. Is this too bad? Is this too?
No.
Are we too crazy right now?
I'm
Keep
muted. If you guys want to hear my my clicking, I'll stay unmuted. And
No. I mean, I don't need to. Everyone
listen.
knows my opinions on Grand Seiko. I don't need. I mean, obviously, I 100% agree with Buckley.
This
We
is
don't
a
need to go
question.
there.
It's why is it that maybe this is just by me. Maybe I'm someone who notices. I people watch. I do people watch. I have to tell you guys, I do. So I notice the shoes. I notice the clothing. I notice the way they carry. Why is it that I can go to almost any car dealership on Long Island, New York, Jersey, wherever, and I can find all the Rolexes, and they all got them at retail? It's because a fisherman always sees another fisherman from afar and they know how to play the game and get the watches. But your watch enthusiast, fucking Harvard grad in the chat can't figure it out. Why is that?
Super chat, Brody. Thank you for your very generous contribution to the Hate Streams. $5 super chat. How many APs is a question that he kind of asked in the chat, but he didn't get our attention. How many APs and at what total cost and how long, in your estimation? I'll pose this to Rose and to Boston. In order to get a stainless steel 39 millimeter jumbo at retail.
Do you want the
Any
real
idea?
answer or do you want the fake answer?
The real answer for the real audience.
Okay, the real answer is never. Because if you're asking that question, you're never going to get it. Because you have to buy stuff without knowing. You can't know 5 moves down the line because it also is going to change. So we could tell you it's 250,000 today, and by the time you get 4 moves down the line, it's going to be 450,000, and it wouldn't be our fault. So you have to like the brand if you want to buy from the brand. That's the bottom line with this. You have to really want to buy a lot of watches from a brand to even talk with them. And it's okay if you don't. If you just want one watch, just buy it and you'll be happy.
Do they?
And it's not AP's fault. It's just the demand.
When that watch is brought up in the ADs, do they not even engage in the conversation? Like they don't even give you a roadmap just because it might change?
So it's never brought up amongst the people. So if you have to wonder whether the girl likes you or not, she doesn't like you, right? And so
yeah, that's
everyone knows, right? So Boston and I agree here. So like if you're in with AP at any moment, you know what watches you can get, you know what watches you have access to. There's no question about if I get this, would I get that, or anything like that. Like, you know, and so those conversations never happen amongst the people that are getting access to those watches. It doesn't happen. He's right. Like if you're asking the question, she doesn't like you. She's getting a free dinner or something. Like that is totally how it works.
What do you mean?
Never, if you're wondering.
But Rose, what do you mean by that? Like if you have to ask, then you're not. I mean, how would you? What is?
You don't know. You don't know. You just have to dance with the brand, and then they'll offer it to you.
Well, let's talk.
Yeah, I sort of disagree with that. I think like I think it becomes very obvious about like what levels you have access to and what you want, and then you have to decide, because there's a lot of people that are in certain positions where a steel jumbo is actually beneath what they want, and so there are very there are very many people doing the quote, I hate to say journey, but I don't have a better term, where getting the steel jumbo is like getting I can't think of the Rolex equivalent, but like they'll give this to you to avoid giving
Batman.
you
It's like a
the
Pepsi.
to avoid giving you your, I don't know, Platon or whatever. You get the point I'm making. Like, and so I mean, and you never have that conversation. It's obvious. They'll even tell you. They'll even, like, people turn down jumbos all the time because there's much more important things, and those conversations don't happen as a would you like this? No, I wouldn't. I want to do this. Like, they have the conversations are very different. You always know. It's yeah.
Well,
It's like asking,
let's
does she like me for my money or just like my personality? If you're asking that question, come on, man. Like, it's obvious.
let's just try to make some estimations at least. How many watches and what total cost do you guys think it
5
is?
watches.
Does-
5 watches.
Doesn't work that way, and Boston's right. Like, now that the market's weak,
Well,
it's harder, and those things matter more. It does not work that way.
estimations. I mean, we don't have to give exact figures, but is it 5 to 10, 200 to half a
So
mil?
hold on. This is a loaded question because Brody already
It's a
knows
range.
he was told 8 watches. He just wants to play with us a little bit.
Okay. So,
Take
like,
his range.
if someone tells you that, the answer is never.
Right. It's the same as this has a 3-year wait list, which means please get the fuck out of our store.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I've been waiting for this watch for 2 years. No, you were never even on the list. You just failed to understand what the fuck. Ugh. You know what, guys? I got to be honest with you. I had a major fight this afternoon that almost came to fisticuffs.
Yeah.
So you're feeling good.
Yeah.
I'm
The
feeling
blood's
really
flowing,
good. I
a lot of
nearly killed a
testosterone.
man. Over $2,700. I nearly killed a man. I threatened his life. I got the money.
Wow, that's a lot.
But
That's a lot.
yeah, it's
I
like an
did.
AP deployment.
That was less than 1/10 of what I needed from the
AP
wizard.
point.
Yeah, so I'm on edge today. So
Well,
Let's
this
talk-
is, so this is
let's-
the
it's
thing.
not
I
your
want to
fault.
make this clear though. I want to make this clear. If you want a jumbo from AP, it's not that they don't want you as a customer, that they're not giving it to you. There's a set kind of way that they go about allocation, because if their customer that's bought 8 watches and is waiting on a jumbo sees you get a jumbo and there's not a really good reason, they're going to go to their SA and be like, what the heck? I've spent 8 watches, right? So there's some level of that, and Rose probably would back me up on this. Well, we'll see. If you have a connection or some reason for them to give you it sooner, then you have that reason. But it's not that AP doesn't want you as a customer. They would love to have enough to give you one and have them readily available. It's just they only make very few jumbos. That's compared to the demand. It's just a demand watch. The same thing with Rolex. Rolex would love to give out 100,000 pandas to help satisfy the demand, but like, they know they can't meet the demand. You know they can't meet the demand and aren't going to sell you that watch as your first watch. And so it's kind of this, you're at this point where it's like, just buy a gray. You'll save yourself time. If that's what you really want, then, just save yourself the headache and buy the watch and you'll enjoy it. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's just reality. There's certain realities, and it's not that the brand doesn't want you. It's just they have to they have to follow certain levels, and like, nobody, unless they're like some celebrity or some billionaire or something like that, they're not going to get an open worked AP as their first watch. Like, let's be honest, like, it's just,
and you know what?
That's what it is.
Well, let's all, what I'm about to say comes with the notion that you have to buy a code first to get, the watch you want. Maybe they're not doing that because they're assholes. Maybe they're offering you these watches because they're like, dude, I'm trying to get you the watch you want, but I can't get it to you unless you buy one of these. You know, maybe they're trying to do you a solid.
Yes, it's top down. It's top down sales trainings.
Yeah,
That's what they're training their employees to do. Yes.
but it could also, you got to think too, like my sales associate in Atlanta, you know, she was some 20 something year old kid that worked at some makeup place before getting there. I think she's being told if Diego wants the 38
Mhm.
Blue Chrono, we'll get it to him, but he's got to buy some stuff first. And
Mhm.
for her, it may not necessarily be like, oh, I want to get the commission at Diego, or I want to get the accolades of selling a chrono, code chrono to him. She's like, I'm trying to get you the watch, Diego, but my hands are tied. And maybe that's what it is with a lot of these essays. Their hands are truly tied. And yeah, I mean, do you think some 20-year-old kid gives a fuck about AP's numbers at the end of the year? How many codes they sold? No. She's getting her paycheck. She gets her commissions. And if she can make you happy by finally getting you the watch that you asked for, that's probably more rewarding than the $200 she got selling you the code. You know, so in some ways they're not necessarily all evil, blood sucking. These are young people working for a big brand. They're small fish in a pond on the grand scheme, and I really don't think a sales associate gives a shit about the end of the year numbers of the brand itself.
They do if they get commission bonuses. They certainly care if they get commission bonuses.
But if they're going to sell every piece, what's the incentive to give big bonuses, right?
They're
If
not going to
everything's
sell every. See, this is where we come to a difference in
well,
opinion.
50,000 watches, I think they're selling them all.
They're selling them all, but
it might take some time, but it's not an impossible.
Not kosher.
It's not an
kosher.
impossible. Yeah, it's not an impossible feat for them to sell everything.
And it's not just about selling them all. It's how
Mhm.
fast and when you sell them.
How you
Right?
sell
Yeah, but-
matters. 100%.
Right?
How you sell them matters.
It's can you sell it today? Can you sell it this week? Right?
Right.
Like Rolex fired the Bucherer manager
Mhm.
at one of the locations recently, not because they weren't selling all the Rolexes. It was because the pieces were sitting 30 days, 60 days, 90 days longer without a buyer, and they're afraid that they're not going to get that watch back to sell again. They still sold it, but selling it 90 days later as opposed to 1 week in with a buyer already is a failure. It's a failure.
You know why it's a failure? Because the small ADs are selling out the back door that week to the gray market. And so a company like Booker that's actually trying to sell them to customers is up against the wall.
Yeah, could be. But but now you're talking 1.5 million watches. It's a lot more easy for numbers to get lost. It's a lot of watches.
Let's let Brody in here. Brody. Oh, but you were just there.
Brody could take my place. I need to go lay down.
Brody, welcome to the show.
Hey guys.
What's up?
I don't know where the brand. I don't know where the brand doesn't want us. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not. Of course, they want us to buy their watches. The whole point I was trying to get at is, I mean, everybody needs to do a calculation of. That's why if you saw in the chat, it's the big blind, right? It's like playing poker. You're in the big blind. You put up a bunch of money. You have no idea what cards you're getting, but you got to put money in the pot first, right? That's what AP makes you do. They make you buy a bunch of watches that you wouldn't otherwise buy. Let's be honest. Nobody
That's
wants
Patek.
8 APs. That if AP said to you, you have to buy 8 watches, and maybe you'll get a Royal Oak, but the chances are you won't. Most people aren't buying 8 APs.
I agree with you. You know the funny thing though about it, Brody? The funny thing about that is it was the exact same thing for Rolex, but the difference was they all were going above retail. And so everybody was more than happy to play the game.
Right. So,
So the AP in reality is doing nothing different than what the other brands were doing.
Right. I'm not mad at AP for this. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I don't really care. But people need to make the calculation of. That's why I was asking the question. So what sort of metrics do people need to make? Okay, I need to buy 5 watches and spend $250,000 over a 5-year period, and then maybe I'll get offered a steel Royal Oak or something cool that I really want. Okay, are you willing to wait 5 years to get the watch you want? Are you willing to front 250 grand to get 5 watches? You might like them, but you wouldn't otherwise buy them. That's what you have to decide.
Yeah, and that's
That's
no different than Rolex or Patek or Vacheron
Yeah,
or
100%. They're
RM
not
or all
saying
of them.
AP's any different, but so
Yeah.
look at Alex. He just went out and said, "Look, all I want is a jumbo," and he went out and got on the gray. Just do that.
Yeah, and that's what you should do if that's the one watch you want, and you don't want to,
So
deal with the brand.
So you have to decide if you want to be a brand collector or you want to be sort of a more diverse watch collector. Because unless you have unlimited funds, I mean, if you want to go down that road, if you don't have unlimited funds, you're basically an AP collector, or you're just a Patek collector, or you're just whatever. Pick the brand, right?
Well,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's a bit tricky the way that it works with that.
So
Some people need a lot more money than others to collect.
Yeah. So
because the same brands and the same watches. Some people need 5 times the money because of the way they collect.
Right.
If you're buying and holding forever, you need 10 times more money than somebody that's going to buy and hold it for a period of time and then sell it.
Right.
Just the way it is. So.
And then and let's be honest, it's, when you get a bunch of those watches, now all of a sudden you got whatever 20, 30 pieces in your collection.
Yeah.
You're not even really wearing them.
Right. I mean, it's hard to wear all of them.
Yeah, so
or you're not wearing them much.
You really are just collecting them, right?
Well, you can wear them. It's just how many times are you going to wear it?
Right. Yeah. So, anyway, that was it. I just popped on to say that. That's why I call it the big blind, right? Because they can't tell you how many watches you need to buy, how much you need to spend over what period of time, if and when you'll ever even get offered the Royal Oak you really want.
Yeah, and it's changed. It changes every time too. Every year it changes what they're asking for. Right. Like next year they might say, "Hey, you know what? We're gonna offer Royal Oaks as your first watch." And everybody be, "Yay! I get a Royal Oak as my first watch." And then you're waiting for 2 years to get your Royal Oak, and you're like, "Hey, wait a second! You said I was gonna get a Royal Oak for my first watch." It's like, yeah, but like these other people bought a code and it sped it up. So they get them a lot faster than you. It's all like repackaging the same thing, right? Like, and Patek could say, "Hey, you know what, guys? Great news! Only 2 dress watches now before you get an Aquanaut."
Right.
But you know what? We're gonna make you buy 2 more dress watches before you get a Nautilus.
Right.
like they can change the rules at any time. So that's my point. Is like don't think that you have to go into it knowing the end, because it's gonna change anyway. So it's good to be informed, but like don't think that it's not going to change either.
Right. But I think the point is, if you start now on any one of those brands with the goal of getting some kind of highly desirable Royal Oak or Steel Sports Patek, whatever it is, whatever brand, be prepared to have to buy at least maybe 4 or 5 watches, spend a couple $100,000, and maybe wait 5 years to maybe get a call for the Steel Sports model you want.
I don't think it's 100% that cut and dry. I think they're very, very smart at knowing who has deep pockets and who is willing to spend more and who's not willing to spend more, and being able to extract maximum amounts of people from different levels. They might know that my threshold is 100,000 and somebody else's threshold is 400,000. It's their job to know that, you know what, Brody is willing to spend the 400,000 to get the jumbo, or he's only willing to spend 150,000, and they're able to kind of figure that out. Different people have different levels. Not everybody's at the same level. It's not cut and dry.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know how they do that with any particular precision or accuracy, but whatever. I don't know. Maybe.
I mean, like for me, for getting my first Royal Oak, the spend was 0. For other people, for someone else, it's not 0.
Yeah, that's interesting.
right? I know plenty of people who got even blue Royal Oaks 15500s 50th anniversaries as their first watch.
Hell yeah.
That happens
God,
all
that
the
guy's
time.
cool as shit too.
Other than you, I don't know anybody who got the Steel Royal Oak as their first AP
In New York
during
happens all the time.
since since I started following this shit again, because I've honestly haven't really paid that much attention to the watch market until a little over a year ago.
But conversations like this actually help them, because when there's conversations among collectors that say, you know what, it's really, really hard to get a Royal Oak as your first watch, then people accept that and they go, you know what, I know it's impossible to get as my first watch, so they're more likely to buy something else first.
Boston, did you get your Royal Oak Chrono first or second piece?
Second.
And that's pretty sick.
All this is weird to me because I was such a passive watch collector.
Right. Yeah.
Because I started so long ago and it was like not that big of a deal.
Right.
But until like a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
And then I
so
started following you. And then I started following you guys, and it was like I was like, "What is this insanity?"
So like I was able to get
all the strategery.
Yeah. Well, it's tricky because it's again it's a moving target, but like, so I was able to get a relative Royal Oak, actually 2 Royal Oaks as their first watches, husband and wife.
Yeah.
That are my relatives. Because I called up and I, went and introduced them and all that, and they are very well connected in the community and were like excellent, let's just say excellent advertisement for AP. So they had a special circumstance to get those.
Mm-hmm.
And it is possible, but like, you have to know what to say and what to do and all that stuff. So like it's everybody has a different path. It's not like you have to buy this watch, this watch, this watch, and this watch, and you get in, or some certain number of dollars or whatever. But certainly, if you buy a code, a diver, a ladies' piece, and a steel Royal Oak or gold Royal Oak, you're running out of, options to get to the jumbo. So like, there is kind of a path there where there can't be like, well, like, do you want another jumbo? Like, do you want another diver? Like, do you want like, it starts to get hard to say like, oh, you still want a jumbo? Like,
I think most people, the bottom line for me is most people are saying yes to pieces that they wouldn't otherwise buy because that's the path to getting a possible.
I don't think anybody should do that. That's stupid.
Okay. I mean,
I think they should. If that's the only reason, I think it's dumb.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I think you should look objectively though and say, well, if it's not a Royal Oak, I don't want it. Right.
Right.
Are you really like actually like evaluating what they're offering you? Like, I think you should look at each watch individually. This is what's offered to me. This is the price point. This is how it fit in my collection. Do I like the piece? Yes. Do I like it enough for the price point and everything else? That's the decision.
Yeah.
But if you're automatically like, well, I'm only going to take a Royal Oak, so it's like, okay, well, if that's your path, you're going to be sitting there because there's a line. Oh, go in that line right there. It's a mile long. So just be prepared to wait if you're not going to be open to other stuff. That's all AP is saying, is like,
yeah. All I know is I've been to AP. I went to AP Beverly Hills a year ago, a little over a year ago. Never got, put my name down for nothing crazy. Some codes, some 38 millimeter chronos, right? And, the all silver one. It's ladies' pieces for my wife. Never heard from the guy. Then I said, screw it, I'll go to AP House. So I went to AP House 6 months ago. he was cool. He showed me some pieces, some codes and stuff, and I said, yeah, I like this one. I like this one. Put me down for that. Haven't heard from the guy since. So it's kind of like I don't really care because I actually don't really want those pieces, but it's just it's a little weird that I think that even when you tell them you're interested in some of these pieces, you still have to wait a long time to get a code. I don't think it's as
Why is
easy
that weird? I think they're hard to get.
because they're not that great. I mean, I don't think they are. I don't think.
Yeah,
I
but
think they just don't make. They intentionally don't make a lot of them.
right.
It's just purposeful.
I love when Boston Collector defends AP to the death. I really do
Well,
because
that's a
I
good thing that they don't make a lot of them, right? Like right?
if they,
I mean,
yeah,
they're
the thing is,
trying something out.
if they made more of them, you'd be complaining they make too many
Right.
codes.
Well, you'd be pushing that. People would be even more into like, they're forcing me to buy this. Like, why don't they make more AP Royal Oaks? It's like they make so many more Royal Oaks. It's actually they're trying.
Yeah, but they also make a lot of the Royal Oaks they make are the ones that we don't want.
Yeah, exactly. I fully understand.
Steel Royal Oaks in gold.
No, I mean like the ones that either we don't want because they're like bedazzled in diamonds, or the ones that we can't even get because either they're way too expensive or we don't have a purchase history to get them.
They make like 500 of those watches that you just mentioned. Like some of those watches, they only make 20 of the diamond watches or 10 of them. Like it's not a lot of those watches. It's mostly steel and gold.
I felt the same way about Patek, because when I went in and I talked to them about Patek a couple yesterday, they said, "Oh, by the way, you have a 6119 on your request list from last year," and I'd forgotten all about it. And I'm thinking to myself, well, wait a minute, if I had a 6119 on the request list, 9 months ago or a year ago, how come I wasn't offered it? Because then I would have been in a pickle, because you would have called me, you would have said, "Hey, your 6119 came in." I'd be like, "Oh shit, I requested that," and they'd be like, "Yeah, you requested. Oh shit, I better buy it, or else I'll look like a flake," and I would have been suckered into buying it probably. But it was like, wait a minute, how come if I requested, how come you didn't give it to me? It's like, that was stupid on your part. But then from their perspective, it's like, you know what, we didn't, other people got them. You weren't, you didn't, there were other people that were ahead of you.
Yeah, you might not have been on their radar, and
right.
And that goes to your point of you got to be on the radar. We're going to switch topics to Patek now. That's a little better.
No, I fully listen. I understand the laws of supply and demand. I get it.
But don't you have, Rody, you have a 15202 that you bought, like one of the first generations ones, right?
I got it in 2014.
Okay, I didn't know that you got it that long ago. I thought for some reason I thought you picked it up recently. So that's an amazing piece, though.
Right, and so I don't really. That's why I'm saying I don't really go in there for me, because I don't even really want another three-hand Royal Oak unless it's the red glass bezel, whatever, titanium glass bezel, which is never going to happen.
No, but for you, it's like, listen, I have credibility with the brand. I bought something 10 years ago. I was with you before the hype, like, so how come I'm having trouble getting a watch?
But I don't because I bought it from Westheim when they were the AD. And then Westheim.
That doesn't matter. That doesn't matter.
And AP opened the boutique, and I don't get treated with any purchases.
Yeah, that shouldn't matter, though. They should be like, hey, I bought AP when AP wasn't cool.
That's not how they operate. They don't really care.
Yeah, Beverly Hills.
Plus, they see I already have a steel Royal Oak, so why would they offer me another one?
New York, I think New York loves the underdog, right? The culture. Beverly Hills is like a completely different story, I feel like.
Beverly Hills boutique. First of all, the Patek boutique is like, it's like you walk up, it's like at the red velvet rope, and they look at you like, should we let this guy in?
Yeah.
But I go to Politics, and he's a really cool AD. I like Brett a lot. He's cool, so he's a good AD, and he tells me the truth, so I like him.
So what happened with Patek OC?
So with Patek, it was like, okay, so obviously, I have tons of Rolex. I probably have way too many Rolex. So it's like the next part of my collecting phase is thinking about what would I do if I were to look at building a relationship to collect Pateks, right? And so for them, it's the same mentality, but just on steroids. It's like, okay, well, obviously we have people who've been collecting Patek for decades, people who spend a fortune on Pateks, and and those people are the people who, when super desirable watches come in, which we don't get that many of, those are the people that those watches go to. So if you try to have a conversation with them, like to Rose's point, if you start to ask goal, what would it take to get a Nautilus, then you're not the right person for the Nautilus. If you're asking those kinds of questions, then you're not the right person to begin with. So you could sense that right away. That the Nautilus is never going to happen.
And Buckley and I went to that same AD a couple of years ago, or maybe a year ago, and we asked about 6119. We're like, well, what's it take to get a watch like this from you guys? And they said, well, we've got like 70 people on the list, and we might see 2 a year, which I don't know if I believe 2 a year, but you want to talk about hyper competitiveness. Like, not only do you have to score one from your sales associate, but your sales associate has to get one from the boutique director, right? It's so much harder.
So, but Patek has, we all know this. They have a much longer history of brand collectors than any other brand, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's been good. That's been going on for decades, maybe even 50, 60, 70 years where people have been just collecting Pateks. That's sort of newer for somebody for like even like AP. I know it's an old brand, but you see these collections go up at Sotheby's or Christie's or Phillips or whatever, and it's way more likely you're going to see somebody selling 20 Pateks in a collection than 20 APs.
Right. The competition that you have with Patek is a guy that was buying Pateks 20 years ago. He had the money 20 years ago to do it, right? Still has the money now. Whereas AP, you're competing. I know there are a few one-offs that have been in the brand for 10, 15 years, but for the most part, you're competing with guys under 10 years in the brand.
Yeah.
Patek, you're dealing with families. You're dealing with CEOs and just a much higher caliber, and it's more difficult. I mean, they're not just buying – the people that were buying Pateks 20 years ago weren't just buying hype pieces. They were buying their wives' $400,000 emeralds, right, for their 50th anniversary, or those are the guys you're in competition with, especially in New York. So, I mean, how much money did Q spend to get his? I don't think we're going to say it, but it was a lot of money, right?
I don't know exactly how much.
So,
I met a guy at a Journe event like earlier this year, maybe late last year, who we were just talking, and I was asking him how many Journes he had. He said 20. I said 20. I said, wow. He said, yeah. He said he started collecting in like the late 90s. He was in like 1999 he was in, or 95, or whenever Journe was just first starting. Early in the years, he was in Geneva and he just started walking around, and he saw one of the Journe watches in the window, and he went in and he bought a tourbillon, like one of the first generation tourbillons, and now he's got like 20 Journes, and that piece is, it's like a 7-figure piece now. But anyway,
fuck.
Can you imagine that? I mean, he's like, I had no idea. He's like, I just liked it. I bought it.
Yeah.
It's like 30-something grand or something.
Yeah, but can you imagine yourself in 1995, Brody, dropping 30 grand on a watch?
No, I wasn't even. I didn't even.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy.
02 was my first watch.
Like, it's crazy enough today for us to do that.
Yeah.
And these guys were doing it in 1995.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I was like, for most of until my 30s, I was like, what do I need a watch for? There's clocks everywhere. There's a clock in my car. You know, clock in my office. Clocks everywhere. What do I need a watch for?
Right.
So, do you think that door is shut, OC, the Patek door, or
I think it's not reasonable because I mean, although they didn't say you have to buy 5 pieces, it's clear that they want you to buy a couple pieces, and Patek is a lot different dynamic than even AP, and certainly way different than Rolex because, the pieces that you buy from Patek, 60,000, and then the second you you drive it off the lot, it's worth 40,000.
Right.
And you buy $100,000 watch, it's worth 65,000. So they they do want you to buy them and wear them and love them and keep them. That's the same. Any brand they prefer that you not sell them.
Right.
So there are obviously people that do that because they're using, they're just buying the watches to build purchase history to get eventually to the thing that they want. But like for me, I love the fact that you have that Aquanaut. I think it looks amazing on you. But I'm not a particular fan of the Aquanaut. So for me, it would mean in their eyes jumping. Like they consider the Aquanaut like the entry level sport watch, and the Nautilus being, like the premium, super hard to get sport. So for me, if I said like I want 5726 or whatever, they'd be like, well, fuck, that's impossible. That's like an annual calendar Nautilus. Like, we have collectors that have been with us for decades that would dive into that.
Even if you got 5167 as your third piece, it's a losing proposition. Dollar-wise, right? If you're spending, if you spend 60 and it sells for 40, and then you spend 100 and it sells for 65.
Yeah, but they hate people doing calculations like that because they
What
want
I'm saying,
they want you to keep all the watches, right?
No, but what I'm saying is going down that path. Like with Boston buying the ceramic AP, he made a conscious decision of A, they don't even make this watch anymore. B, if they ever did, who knows what the hell the price is going to be at that point. C, if they ever do make that watch again, I'm probably still not going to get the watch. So same with the, let's say 5167 for you or 5726.
Well, I'll get the watch. It's just a matter of time.
Right.
But
with you, OC,
will I like it better?
Yeah, with you, OC, if you got 5167 as your third piece, you haven't won in the dollar sense. And even if you get 5726 afterwards, maybe you're even. So if that's the watch you want, all I'm saying is it doesn't make sense to go down that journey.
And that's what people say with Royal Oaks too, or with jumbos or whatever. It's like pay 55,000 for the jumbo, and it's 25,000 over list or whatever. But then you don't have to buy a code and a diver, or a code and an offshore or whatever, and lose 40 grand.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, but the Patek math right now is pretty bleak. Like, to actually be in a place to get the best watches, you're looking at it's jumped. It used to be like 300,000. Now it's like 600,000. Because you have to, they're forcing you to buy a Grand Comp before you get back into like more Nautiluses at some of these ADs.
And dude, for 600,000, you could put together an amazing gray market Patek collection,
right,
and not have to do any of that stuff.
Again, it's like, how long term are you with the brand? All these brands are looking for the top level of wealth that are going to buy as many watches as possible. Like, if you're going to buy 10 watches from AP or Patek or Rolex, like, you're a better customer to them. They want it to be exclusive. They want less people that are going to buy more watches. It's easier for them. So they're happy to put these like artificial things in place to kind of steer people. Like, they don't even want to talk to people. Like, they're doing this to kind of push people away so they don't have to deal with people coming in and asking for an Aquanaut or a Nautilus. Like, there's a 3-watch rule. Spread that around. Tell everybody.
But
Tell
but
all your
but
friends. You know.
yeah, but Boston, I
So
heard
what?
both Rolex and Patek have been doing a very good job increasing the proportion of watches that go to first-time customers, and they do that by offering Calatravas, and people bite at those. So, like I've heard,
Hmm.
like I heard, I can't remember exactly what they said, but for Rolex, it's easily 40%, and for Patek, I think it was over 30% that they of customers were first-time customers. So
For a
they're making a
Calatrava.
yeah, well, of course, they're making a conscious effort
Right.
to allocate the Calatravas and offering them to people who came in and say, "Hey, I'd like to, buy Patek," and they say, "Great, well, here's a Calatrava," and they bite, you know. And
So one of the things I was told about when I asked, like, no, seriously, why'd you sell me the watch? One of the lines was at the end was like, and we hope that you're a longtime Patek customer
Hmm.
and you'll get to the point, in 10, 15, 20 years where you're looking at grand comps. And they're like, and we'd be super excited for that to happen. So you're correct. And I think that is some brand language that's being passed down from Geneva to these ADs. We need, they want to get longtime customers. They want to get people excited in the brand because the guys that were buying Pateks 20, 30 years ago, they might be kicking the bucket soon. And they're going to be left like, well, we have a whole generation of people that we said no to. And now the people that we were saying yes to all these years are dead. Like they got to backfill their customer base somehow.
Guys, I got to roll. Let me on.
Yeah, man. Good seeing
All
you.
right,
Bro.
Brody. Thanks for
all right,
jumping
see you,
on.
Brody. Thanks for
Let's see the dog before you leave. See the puppy. I know he's there.
You guys.
Where's the puppy at?
no puppy.
Here's a puppy.
Oh, it's classic.
But yeah, I've heard that language firsthand.
Yeah. So like they want. What's interesting with Patek is AP and Patek have totally different strategies and are totally different brands. And I love when people like try to like say, "Oh, AP's doing it wrong. They're pumping out Royal Oaks and they're going to fall flat on their face." It's like, no, there's so much demand, they can't make enough. They're trying to at least meet some of the demand so it's not angry people everywhere, right? And so they've increased their production of Royal Oaks. And then everybody says, "Oh, they're only Royal Oaks." It's like, no, they're not only Royal Oaks. They're trying to like proportionally make watches to try to still have other things going, but they're mostly doing Royal Oaks because there's so much demand. Patek's the opposite. They're like, F you if you like a Aquanaut or Nautilus. We're a dress watch company. You know what? We're gonna stick it to you so much that we're gonna stop making steel ones and we're gonna make them in gold and charge 75 to 100,000 by the time you get to that Nautilus. So it really doesn't make sense with the math because you know what? We just want wealthy people. We want people that say, "I don't care what it costs. I want a Patek."
Yeah.
That's what they want. They don't want it to make sense. They don't want the math to make sense. They want to sell dress watches. They don't want to be seen as a sports watch company. They're going to make hybrid watches that are kind of like, hey, these are sporty dress watches so that they can still be a dress watch company. And it's like, okay, but that's not what people like. A lot of people don't want that. They want your sports watches because they're cool and they're awesome. But like, if you're not going to give that to them, like, that's okay too, because it's going to make people's decision easier to say, "I'm not a dress watch Patek guy," right? And the dress watch Patek guys are saying, "You're not a Patek guy anyway. Why do you even want a Nautilus?" It's like, because the Nautilus is awesome. That's why.
The sports Pateks are kind of like the Audi R8s. Like Audi is a luxury brand. Comfort. All that kind of shit. The R8 is a brutal car. They used to be V10s, and those are allocation pieces. Those cars. When I was picking up my car, and I was like, "Hey, this thing's been sitting at the dock for 3 months. What the hell's going on?" They're like, we've got a guy who's been waiting for his R8 for 3 years, and his is there too. So trust me, like you're not the only person that's upset. And I think you're right. I mean, I feel the same way about Longe. You know, a lot of people got really upset with their price increases, but I've always said I think part of what Longe has done is they're trying to separate themselves from this whole
Like
culture of
JLC and
like,
some of those other ones, right?
well, not even just that, but just the entire culture of, you know, I'm buying this because it's going over retail, or I want the Odysseus. Or they're like, no. Like, if you get the Odysseus, like, you're going to get it, and you're going to do it understanding that you should have just bought it gray, but you love the brand this much. The people we want are the people that can afford to take that hit. Because if you buy a Longe and you try to flip it, good luck, right?
Mm-hmm.
Longe wants the people that are going to buy the pieces to get to the Odysseus and not give a shit, and they still have all the Longes that they bought, you know. And maybe that's where Patek is. That's the business model they're trying to strive for. I don't know.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that just like also just the concept of just working with the AD and paying retail.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they're not price shoppers, and they're not venue shoppers. And the idea of going somewhere else to buy a watch or buying it from a
Mhm.
secondhand place, they just don't even, that doesn't even like fall into their vocabulary. I was talking with a guy on Monday night, and he said his dream watch is to buy a 5205, right? Rose gold black dial. He said, but I don't want to buy it now. I want to buy it for my, I think he said 40th birthday. So, and it's going to be in 4 years from now. So he's like, I have a relationship with one of the retailers, and I know it's going to take a long time, but you know, they know that I want it, and I'm going to buy it in 2029. And so I was looking, and I just happened to come across a listing of it. Now the list price of that is about, well, in 4 years from now, the list price is going to be probably like $70,000 because there's going to be inflation, and the Patek's going to raise their prices. It's probably like in the mid 50s now, and by the time he actually gets around to buying it at retail, it's going to be 70,000. There's a listing right now where you can buy it at 45,000. But to him, he's like, yeah, but I'm okay waiting. Yeah, but I'm okay buying it from so and so retailer. It's like,
Is this guy's name Kelsowitz?
no. But there are people like that they just they don't like, it's not they don't think of this as bargain shopping.
I know one person like that, and they're in a position where they can do it. And I think those are the customers that Longe wants and Patek wants. I think Patek would have greater success if they offered more lower tier dress pieces, because I think there are a lot of people in the chat that would actually really enjoy a dress Patek Philippe, but it's difficult for them, including myself, to stomach $60,000-$70,000.
Yeah. Well, for them, the
on
entry level
a leather strap watch.
Well, for them, the entry level pieces are 35,000, 38,000, right?
Well, yes, 6119, but they, and I mean, I think they're too big. They don't offer enough for the broad range of customers they have. Mr. G, for example, I can't see him ever buying a dress Patek, not because he can't afford it or doesn't like the way it looks, but he probably is thinking to himself, 60 grand. Like the one I actually like that I think is somewhat cool is 65,000, and it's too big. And then the one that's cheap, the 6119, it's too big. Like there's nothing. I've told my SA and AD manager, I was like, there's nothing in the catalog for me except, you know, the sports pieces, because they're meant to be big and they have big bezels. And yes, this Aquanaut's a 40 mil, but look how big the bezel is. That helps. Imagine if this was a Calatrava on my wrist. Try to envision that bezel being all dial. It would look huge. And so,
but to To your point earlier on the Colony stream, though, if you want to get into Patek and you want a dress watch, there's plenty of choices in the $20,000 range. They're just 5 to 10 years old.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
But
they
I
want to
think
be elite. You know, these brands. Let's not. That's one thing that I think. I think sometimes we look at the brands and we say like, well, they have to sell us watches, and wow, they're really pushing the price up. It's like they're pushing the price up so that they have brand perception of elite. Like when you look at an AP code 1159, if they were $20,000, people wouldn't buy them. They'd be like,
right.
"Oh, how come that one's 20,000 in a Royal Oak is 78,000?" It's like part of why people want to buy these watches is that they're very expensive. They're luxury, high end goods, and when you put it on, you're like, "Ooh, I spent 35,000 on this watch." You know, this is a car.
Mhm.
Like that's part of some of these brands, and they want to keep pushing the price up because of that. I mean, eventually every Nautilus is going to be over 100,000.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's just going to happen, right? And the jumbo is going to keep pushing up for AP, and you know, it's just the natural progression of things. But
Yeah.
I
As much
will
as
say though, out of all the
Go ahead.
brands, Patek has done the smallest increases. I think in 2022, back in, I can't remember when I got this, maybe May or something. The 5167 was like 21 something. Right now it's 22 something.
well, except for the 5811.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like during that time frame, Speedmasters went from 4,500 to 8. You know,
What's the difference between your steel 5164 and the new one?
nothing.
Retail, no price.
Oh, I don't know what the new ones go for. I think I paid 40 something at the door.
Okay, I think it's like 60 something, right?
Yeah, and that's not a terrible increase. You know, a Panda
I'm just saying they're
Daytona.
doing that with all their steel watches. They're discontinuing and then bumping them up that 20, 30 grand.
Yeah, but
You
what I'm
know?
saying is I don't think if a 5164G today is 65,000, I don't think in 5 years it'll be 100. If it was another brand, maybe. But I think Patek has been a little bit reserved on these price increases.
Mm-hmm.
Pandas, I mean, what was the retail for a Panda in 2022? 11.5. I think I paid 13 something plus tax. It ended up being close to 15,000. So
the code Chrono used to be 50,000. Now it's like 48.
you know,
Yeah,
so if an Aquanaut went from 21 to 22.5 in 2 years, that's a very small increase.
Yeah.
So I don't think we have to worry about 6-figure steel Nautilus by any means.
Well, there
now,
just won't be any steel. That's my point.
right.
It's just gonna be they're pumping it because it's gold, you know.
Yeah.
But like,
yeah.
it's gonna get there. I'm not saying it's like next year. You know, it's gonna take time. But they're, you know, all watch prices are moving up, and it moves up 5-10 grand at 5% right now. So it's a lot of money. Like it's the worst. I'll tell you, the worst is RM. Oh my gosh, the worst is RM. When the guy says we might have a price increase coming soon, you're like, gulp, you know, because it could be like 25 grand in a price increase, you know, on a lower end one. Like the upper end ones, forget it, you know.
What's their justification for that?
Well, it's just proportion. Like you move it up 5%, you know, on a $950,000 watch, it's a lot.
Well, what I'm saying is they're such a small brand with an established workforce and infrastructure. Like, where they
yeah.
Well, they at least are using, you know, tougher metals and more, you know,
technology, R&D,
R&D, but also like these brands are all fighting over watchmakers.
That's true.
So like the price for watchmakers, I'm sure is like sky high. Their labor costs must be pretty high. They're doing all right because they're selling their watches, you know. But
Yeah.
I think that there, you know, a lot of that goes into the cost. But they, it's tough when it's like 5%, $50,000 difference. You're like, oh, okay.
Mhm.
Maybe I should buy it before the increase. I don't know.
Let's if you're okay, OC, did you guys already talk Rolex?
Not really. For Rolex, again, they pulled out this list of stuff that I had kind of mentioned like a year ago. Like last time, I kind of updated my request list, and I've gotten nothing. So it's like, but they're keep in mind, like with Wempe, they used to have the boutique on Fifth Avenue in the Rolex building. That got their allocation has been cut by half. So, so they have way fewer watches and way more customers than ever before, just because of their location.
Yeah.
So, a very high traffic area, Fifth Avenue. So, like what I had on my list, like I had like a wish list, like Panda Daytona, Platinum Daytona, Meteorite Pepsi. I had they let you put together a pretty big list there. I think I had a white gold Daytona on the list, and they're like, yeah, "Is that still? You still want that?" I'm like, "Nah, I don't want that." They're like, "Yellow gold, black dial, 1908," and I'm like, "Well, yeah, I did mention that about a year ago when they first came out, but I'm really not super interested now that they have platinum."
Yeah.
But I'm not really in love with the 1908. If I'm going to go dress watch, I'll probably go Patek anyway. They're like, okay, we'll scratch that off the list. But then I'm thinking, okay, well, why didn't I get offered a 1908? Same thing with the 6119. And they're like, honestly, we've barely gotten them. We just got like the first yellow gold black dial 1908, recently. Like, wait a minute, that was introduced in April of 2023, wasn't it?
Damn. Yeah.
Right. So well, here we are, like 16 months later, and they're like, yeah, we just saw a couple of 1908s, last month or whatever. It's like, part of it is shtick. I know, like to reinforce artificial scarcity. I know that, but are they always lying about never seeing any watches come in?
No, those were late. Those were definitely late. 1908s.
Yeah. The other one that they at AP they mentioned, there's that new one. They said that, hey, the essay goes, what would be perfect for you? It's like a sky blue offshore. You know the one I'm talking about? It's like under $30,000.
Yeah, the diver. It's not a diver. It's just a.
It's not a diver. Yeah, it's just a three-hander, and it's kind of like a sky blue dial with a sky blue kind of strap.
Cool.
And they're like, oh, we just got the first one in a couple days ago. It's a shame because he didn't even have a chance to take a picture of it. He's like, I wish they would have let us keep it for a couple of days, to show people.
Yeah.
But they said we only got, but that's the first one we've seen.
Yeah.
And he said we'll probably get 5.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, let's 5. So he said we'll probably get 5. For the for in a year.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's. Yeah, it's competitive. So for Rolex, I'm like, I kind of updated my list. It's like, hey, yeah, maybe I don't want the 1908. Maybe I don't want anything, from Rolex.
Yeah, it's I don't know. How's it looking with the other AD though? I feel like you've got a better chance at the Platinum with the other one, right?
Who knows? Look who's creeping in as we've already put in 3 hours worth of time.
I'm the closer, baby. I'm the closer.
Closer.
The 3-pump chump for the money shot.
Hell yeah. Yeah.
Mr. G says I walked in and got offered a 1908. See, the baller.
He's a very guy. I would offer Mr. G whatever he wanted if I was an SA.
I think the funniest quote that hear all the time is like, oh, I got offered that. So that's easy to get. But it's like so many circumstances go into you getting offered a watch.
Yeah,
That it's
very,
like, what
very
if, what
much.
if they got that in today? And they just happen to be like, oh, this guy walked in the door. I'm just going to offer it. And then the next guy takes it. Are you like, you know, I don't know. It's just like the mind games that collectors play all the time are pretty funny.
Yep.
It's like, why did I get offered that? Are they trying to get rid of it? Or maybe they really love me and they want to give this to me, so then I'll get a
Is
Daytona
is,
next.
is this a consolation prize? You know,
right. Are they trying to
two.
bait me into this so they don't have to sell me a Daytona?
You know, the
If I turn it
Aquanaut,
down, do I get a Daytona?
the Aquanaut and the Panda. I was offered 5212 and
Right.
solid gold Daytona prior, and both times it was when they offered it, I said no, and both times I was like, damn it.
Yeah.
You know, it's like
Yeah.
this isn't what I wanted, but you know, do I buy it? And I'm glad I didn't. And I think that happened with Jeff, right? For the titanium Yachtmaster.
Yep.
So sometimes, you know, I'm glad we don't live in a world where, you know, you'd be a fool to turn down a 5212 or, you know, a solid gold Daytona at any opportunity. Because I think a lot of times if you take those pieces, the SAs feel like, well, he's satisfied for a while.
Yeah, but the question is, for every one person that turns down a piece and ends up getting a great piece next, what percentage of people turn down that piece and then end up waiting a year or two and not getting
Right.
anything after they turned it down?
And remember when Father Artifact turned down the
Meteorite
Daytona. So my thought at that time was, dude, there's no way you're getting the Le Mans. That was their way of saying, please take this. You know, like, this is our consolation to you. You know, Le Mans is discontinued or whatever it might be. And no, I mean, they turned that. I wonder what would have happened if they took that watch. You know?
Yep.
January of 2023, I got offered the white gold blue dial GMT Master 2. Turned it down. July, I got offered a Sky Dweller on Oyster Flex from the same AD. Turned it down. A day later, he calls me and says, I got the meteorite.
Damn. Yeah. And it's like, that didn't
you would have
just
been
happen.
fucked.
Yeah. Had I taken either of those two before, I would have been off the market for a year with that AD.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Now, Mayers here is telling me that because I took that Guinness, I'm off their market for 3 months.
Yeah, so Mayors, their rule, what they've dictated to me is 3 sports pieces, or no. Yeah, I think it's 3. No, it's a sports piece, but there's a 3-month cooldown period.
Yeah.
Yep. Which isn't terrible. My Patek AD is, I think it's 1 sports piece a year.
Nobody
is
should
what
be
they told me.
in today's market. No one should be buying four sports pieces a year.
No, definitely not. There's not enough in the catalog. I mean, if you're just starting
Only
out,
4?
maybe. If you're just starting out,
same AD.
sure. You know what I mean? Like, if you're just starting on your journey and you start with Explorer 40, Subdate, Pepsi, Daytona, do it, whatever. But the possibility of that happening is
I
very
need to talk to Mayors. I'm going to go in with Jeff.
do it, man.
You know what the funniest part of today's stream, by the way, Brody's comment in the chat is I was offered a 6701 red gold at my first appointment. I think those are 202,000 now. Like, the price has really gone up. I remember when I first started bringing people to Richard Mill, I think that was around 150, and now it's 202. So, like, that shows you like what kind of price increases that they have.
No, it's just proportional percentage. If you go 10%, it's 15,000. I mean, it's no joke, you know. Over 5 years, you know.
No joke.
It escalates quickly, very quickly.
Funniest part of today's stream was people going, "Listen, OC shouldn't get an RM. The guy wears fucking Skechers. Like, shouldn't he work on
Yeah.
shouldn't he learn like how to dress first, or like or like shouldn't he like concentrate on like his health or something before." He doesn't even have he doesn't have the right lifestyle. He doesn't have the right.
He doesn't
look.
have a 6-pack. What's he gonna do with an RM?
Right. What's he gonna do
Dude,
with an RM?
if you're wearing an RM, you can wear fucking Crocs with socks and shorts.
No,
Who cares?
The funniest person saying, listen, it was Gorilla. Gorilla was doing the same. He's like, listen, if OC gets an RM, I'll fly to New York and buy him a pair of Nike Jet Pack, whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Jordan 3s.
So he doesn't have to walk around in Skechers. No one wears an RM with Skechers.
Yeah, that was funny. I really do think though, the one that Boston has would be good for you. All the other ones are too grandiose for your style, but the one Boston has is very subdued.
No, the other argument that I heard in the chat, which was very funny too, is like, and I'm sure it was Rose or Fella or a couple. They're like, listen, if you're wearing an entry level RM, is because you obviously can't afford real RMs. It's like no self-respecting RM collector walks around with entry level RMs. People know that you're just that's all you can afford. They know you're poor. I don't. I don't subscribe. I mean, and Buckley was in the chat saying, "Well, I actually like the 6701." There are a lot of people who actually like it because it's not that big giant tonneau case in crazy fucking materials with pink and green stripes running through it, with fucking neon shit everywhere. It's more subdued. It's thinner. It's more elegant.
Yeah,
and so they're getting like a resharp mill, but they're getting it toned down a little bit.
I wouldn't like to see you get. I think the 6701 comes with like a baguette bezel or something, right?
Yeah, but that's way more expensive. I mean, that's like 300,000.
But what I'm saying is, I feel like, am I wrong, Boston, that'd be easier to get than the non-baguette? Is it kind of like, is it easier to get the non-baguette or the baguette? 6701.
Diamond case is diamond.
Diamond case.
Listen,
which one would be easier?
They don't do a diamond case anymore.
Okay.
The 6701 is a win if you get that. That's it. Like, if you get that as your first watch from RM, it's a win. Titanium. The red gold is the gold RMs are kind of seen as like they're nice, and I think it depends on which one, right? Like, some of them are nicer than others.
Remember Cars and Chrome?
No, I actually like. I like his version. I do like his version. I do. You know what I mean? Like, some of them look good. Like, some of the bigger rose gold don't look as good. But I like his a lot. But those are typically a little bit softer on the market just because people want the lightness and they want the sporty thing. But a 6701 is just a great watch. It's very versatile.
Yeah,
nice
when I started
thin.
looking at it, it was 121 or 126,000, and now I understand they're like over 150,000.
Yeah, I thought when I went into RM last September that they were talking about the basic one that I wanted was like 160 for the rose gold.
The titanium, I think, is 135 retail, and then tax, whatever.
Yeah.
You get a thing.
So yeah.
So it's a deal. It's a real good deal.
But they're not going for that much more in second. But the problem is there's not a lot of them for
They're
sale
about
in secondary.
180-ish.
Look at that. What do you guys
180-ish on chrono means
no on a real 180-ish on dealers.
But they're not. But the thing is with RM that's so tough, Boston, is you don't know what you see listings.
6701 the sell.
Those are liquid.
sell. Yes, very liquid. The ones that are tougher are the gold and because again, it's more demand. Like the people lining up to get a Richard Mille, especially a titanium, is those just sell a lot easier and at the price point.
You know what's funny? This doesn't look too bad right here. But when you zoom out,
That looks terrible.
yeah.
But
But
the
right
K-shape-
here,
it's the K
right
shape.
here.
The K shape is not the most attractive K shape.
It's an awesome case shape. Looks great.
This watch was really cool. Like
This is
when I
100
was
meter water resistant too.
when I was
Ooh,
talking
whoop-de-doo.
when I was talking on
Yeah,
the
good silver.
earlier stream about research and development, like how they're doing things
Mhm.
different. This is what I'm talking about. Stuff like this. Like
Mhm.
this crown was killer. And then I think, you had your chrono functions.
Mhm.
This one here, you push that button, it puts the crown into winding mode. I can't remember
That's the
what
automatic
this.
wind button on the bottom.
Oh, that's right. So you can wind the watch with the button. I can't remember what this one did. The seconds. What did that one do?
Yeah, hold on. You have start, reset.
Split second, maybe.
Yeah, I think that's a split second.
That's
Because
right.
I think
it
one of the
is.
subdials has a split second.
Yeah. So cool stuff. I like it.
Mhm.
What have you got to pull up, OC?
It's crazy technology.
What is that? The Cars and Chrono, which is. Hold on a second. I'm trying to show mine. Okay, there it is. The Cars and Chrono with his is rose gold. This one's titanium.
Love the titanium.
Yeah, someone flipped it, a brand new one, 2024 complete, 7201 titanium and they're asking $259 for it. I can't imagine that this watch sells for that much less than that.
What do you mean, the retail price?
Yeah, retail price.
It's like $235, something like that.
$235 plus tax. I mean, unless they bought it abroad and with favorable exchange rates and maybe zero VAT or whatever, zero tax.
Mhm.
Otherwise, they're not netting anything on this.
They're getting purchase history.
Right.
Well,
Maldives. Go ahead.
Some of
Sorry.
these, well, you have to keep in mind when you get to the higher levels too, they're getting cash. That's $259 in cash, which is a lot to put up. Like most dealers don't want to put up $259,000 in cash, so they're trying to get it from an end customer. Most of the time, it'd be a trade at that price point.
Yeah,
And
what's the retail on this watch, real quick?
I think it's like 235, 240, something like that. It always is changing though, so it's hard to know exact.
Yeah. So if you buy an RM for 300,000 and you can only get 250 for it, equate it to buying a 6119 for 35 and you can get 30. A lot of people would do it.
Yeah, it could be a customer bought it and they had second thoughts or they bought it and then they bought something else, and then a lot of these guys some big collectors that I know change their mind on pieces all the time, and at these big amounts of money, it's like they don't care losing 20,000 to have a dealer sell it off for them and get the cash back. Like they're just kind of like whatever.
And what I'm saying is like the dollar value loss is significantly higher when you lose money on an RM, but on a percentage scale, it's a lot better than many other brands.
Right.
Yeah. And if you look at it from a dollar scale, the reward is so much more when you get like a Bubba or a Nadal, right? At retail.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's way more than getting a 5167 or a 6202 or whatever the hell the AP jumbo is.
Yeah.
Boston, we were talking about Patek earlier, and you famously have what you bought from secondary, the 5980 steel, which is your kind of your daily. But then you also bought recently at retail, starting a new relationship. Well, actually, an existing relationship, but now they moved into Patek. The steel world time chronograph, which I'm assuming is safely tucked away somewhere. But did you love that one, or you figured, okay, it was great to be offered that one as a first piece? That's going to get me on the map with them, and they'll know that I'm serious about buying watches. Like, what's your calculation with them? Because you're, like we've talked about before, like you're doing the journey with like more than 4 brands simultaneously, maybe even 5 brands.
Well,
Like,
it was number 15 on my list, and it was the first dress piece, so I felt like that was a good thing to buy. No, I'm joking.
Okay.
I mean, it was 15 if you count all the Aquanauts and Nautiluses that I'd rather buy. I mean, I got the Steel Daytona, so.
Would you rather? Would you rather have been offered the 5712 that Jeff got?
I like this better. For me, I like this better for me. Just because I think it's different.
That 5712 is sick.
Yeah, it's a nice watch too.
I love that thing.
Yeah, I think this is going to help me in my relationship towards more Rolex. So I think it's a good buy. I always like the world time complication, and it's kind of cool to have the chrono as part of it too, and no date. I don't know. It's just a very different watch. So I don't know. There's something about it that I liked, but yeah. And this titanium RM is amazing in person. I get to wear this the other day from a collector friend, and it has he has it on an orange strap, and it's just like, oh, it's so killer. It's so nice. This is a great watch. But I think for Patek, sorry, we were talking Patek, but yeah, Patek is like kind of one of those like I'm evaluating. I don't know. I'm not. I'm pretty happy with my 5980, so I'm kind of like Brody. Brody's got the jumbo already, and he's like, I don't know if I want to dance anymore with this brand. Like, I like some of their watches, but like, it seems like a lot of effort and work to continue and money to pump into this. So I think I'll just like enjoy the brand and enjoy what they're doing, but like, I don't have to own a lot of them for my collection. I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with Patek. Especially if they're going to discontinue all the steel. It's like, what's the point? Like, I'm not really into like gold sports watches, personally, or hybrid.
Yeah, me neither.
Like,
I don't know if I ever will be.
Why do I want a hybrid sports watch? I don't know.
Yeah,
I think you got the best one, Boston.
Yeah, you got a good one.
And you got it at the right price.
Yeah. It was super cheap.
I didn't say that. I said you got it at the right price.
I know. It's a cheap RM, which is crazy. I mean,
it's one of the best ones, though. I can't believe how good it looked on that pink strap. That was ridiculous.
Yeah, I love the pink strap. So I have the blue strap coming
Oh, nice.
for
This
the
like this
Nadal.
blue right this blue right
Yeah,
here.
but not the rubber, the Nadal
Oh, sick.
weaved one. So I'm gonna try it on that, and then I don't know, the pink's nice, but I like orange too. I don't know. I'm into the straps. There's so many good straps. I think orange would look really cool with the white, letters and numbers and stuff. So.
Nothing we discussed is cheap.
Yeah, that's true. Nothing's cheap.
These are good. I enjoy these conversations where it's focused on one person in the community and what they're going for. I think it'd be cool to have more shows like, Mr. G or George or, someone else jumps on and we just kind of spend the whole night going through, what they're trying to do. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Good stuff. We're going to pull the plug on tonight's show. Even though there are 55 people watching, I want to thank everybody for upvoting. I want to thank everybody for super chatting and everybody, all the great people on the panel. Brian, Diego, Boston Collector, Buckley. I'm sure there were a couple of Rose and anybody else who was on the panel. Thank you guys. Hit the upvote button on the way out. We'll do an after show. So click on the link now that says join the panel. Click on it now to join the after show. And in 30 seconds, that's where we will be. And so peace out, everybody. Have an amazing night. We may do a stream on the Colony tomorrow or who knows when, but make sure you're subscribed to the Colony channel. Make sure you're subscribed here and have a great 4th of July, everybody. Any closing thoughts? Boston, Diego, Brian, anything?
Peace.
Peace out.
your
Join the
watch
after show. Click on the StreamYard link before we go dark. See you later, guys. Peace out. Have a great night.